live?
Now we are.
Oh, we're live now, yeah.
Welcome to the NiceGuyAndy podcast with your host, with the most tonight, Superfly Johnny Lee. And to my left, as always, the magnificent, the wondrous, the Silverhawk,
Wondrous.
Nice Guy Andy.
Did you make up that word, wondrous, Johnny?
Yes, I did. And tonight we got a
welcome,
special show because not only are we talking photography, but we also got an OVW agent inside the room. We got J-Mo to my right.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
And to my left. A lot of you may have seen her at EWA.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you may know her as EWA's photographer. We got Tresia. Is that your name?
How
you pronounce it?
Tresia.
Tresia?
But mostly it's Mrs. J-Mo.
Mrs. J-Mo.
This is J-Mo.
It's Tresia?
Tresia.
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 What kind of name is that?
I don't know.
Your,
I know
your mom made it up?
No, my grandmother's name is Mary Tresia, and
Okay.
so she named me after my grandmother, but I can't tell you where it comes from before that.
Yeah.
But that's a fun name.
Tresia.
It is, yeah.
We all call her T for short because
T, yeah.
nobody
Yep.
can remember her name.
Nobody-
Nice.
Mrs. J-Mo is what we're
Mrs. J-Mo.
That's right.
Yes,
Mrs. J-Mo.
that's me.
Heck yeah.
Where'd you guys meet at?
We actually met through wrestling, actually.
did.
No way.
I've been a wrestler for 21 years, and throughout my journey, she was working at concession stands. Her sister was married to Eric Draven, which is the promoter of Supreme Wrestling in Madison, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And she worked concessions for them, and that's how we met.
Cool.
Heck yeah.
Selling nachos. And
Wrestling, yeah, I love nachos.
So
so
does
wrestling
that.
actually got us together, and it's a huge part of our lives, and it's been a huge part of my entire adult life. So, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're just sharing this to everybody on
yeah, you're good.
where are you? Was that me? Okay.
That was you.
Yeah.
But you want to be on here for a reason.
Of course, yeah.
Why don't you let the folks know?
Well, a lot of people don't know about the backbone of, the wrestlers, whether it's the women or the men. There are spouses out there that are a lot of their support. Obviously, the fans show a lot of support, but when they go home, there are people that, wash the gear and support them on their rough days and help them, go to shows, drive with them when the long hours of road tripping and, just keep them going, keep them motivated. So, also photographers do a lot in the business as well. There are a lot of unseen people. Wrestling has a lot of, it's like a moving car.
Exactly.
The car has a lot of mechanisms that make it go, and so does wrestling. And a lot of those people aren't seen. And so I just wanted to be one of those mechanisms that recognizes me and other people.
Because it's the facts. There are a lot of unsung heroes that help make wrestling the way it is. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, some people don't even give referees a lot of credit, and yet the referees are one of the vital parts of a wrestling
They have
match.
one of the hardest jobs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And actually the promotion, having like a podcast and having people, photographers and posting stuff helps the wrestlers a lot. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers that, we're not trying to, toot our own horn or nothing, but there's a lot of wrestlers out there that come on the show and then they get booked. Like, you see them the next time and like, damn, I got so many bookings after that. People see, people like the promoters will watch this show and they'll see, oh, I want to get a hold of that guy. And
Absolutely.
what I tell people when they come on is like, this is a 2-hour commercial for yourself. So put yourself over. Tell everybody everything you need to know about. They want that you want everybody to know about you. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this business is all about networking. It's all about networking and getting your name out there and meeting people and early on in your career in wrestling, you jumping in cars, just trying to get on shows. That's what it's all about in every aspect. But promoting and moving the business along is more important than people realize, for sure.
And recently, me and Terry England of Ultimate Championship Wrestling,
Love Terry.
we had this discussion because there's a lot of guys that ain't promoting that they're on the Cabrera Super Show, one of the biggest events in Kentucky professional wrestling, and they don't do it. Like I told him, if they're not willing to promote themselves, promote the show, they act like only the promoter has to promote it.
Yes.
What does that tell you about them?
Well, Well, and that's another hat I wear in wrestling is a wrestling mom. I take the kids and I jump in my car, come to this show.
Yep.
I'll print the photos out, sell these, go sell them, go interact with your fans. Like I help support them. I help get yourself out there. You want to go somewhere in this business, promote yourself. You're not just
people they ought to promote themselves. I mean, we promote a lot of people, and a lot of people don't have. You can tell a lot of guys don't have somebody like you in the background for them. They'll call us and be like, or they'll text us like, "Are you going to be at the show next week? Can you get some shots of me?" And yeah, we'll get some shots of you. And then they'll text us, "Oh, we seen you at the show. Do you got anything? Yeah, we're gonna post everything, and I'll send them." I tell everybody, I'm like, because I take a lot of videos, and Johnny does too. Johnny, we sit there and take a lot of videos of the matches, and we'll share everything with everybody. We don't care. I mean, it's going to be posted anyway. If I post it, if I take a video and I give it to you and you post it too, and if it's of you, then you're promoting yourself and we're promoting you, and you got to toot your own horn in this business because people aren't going. You might not get noticed until 4 or 5 or 6 years into your wrestling, and by that time it might be too much. We got our champion Icon Lee. You know Icon.
I do.
Yep.
He is one of the best young promoters of himself I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm impressed by what he can do.
He came on here, and we got him a shot at over at New South Wrestling. He took their lightweight championship, and then he got our championship, and he's just been taking it everywhere and showing it off, and he's so proud of having our championship, but he's so proud of himself, and he's a hard worker. He lives in the gym. You can tell he's just jacked. And then he came to me. He was like, "I'm gonna get on OVW. I'm gonna get on OVW." I was like, "Go for it, dude. Go for it." And he came over to you guys, and he's wrestled. He just wrestled.
And he did the right thing.
Jack Vaughn.
He'll be there this Thursday as well.
Hell yeah, he will be.
He's a great guy. I went up to Michigan with him. Was it Michigan? I went up to Detroit with him.
Michigan.
He said, "Please come with him. Please come with him." So I went up there, and we got a Airbnb, and he was like, "You got an Airbnb?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Come and just stay with us." And he come and stay with us. Such a great kid. Like and I call him a kid, but he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
He was just so polite. He slept on the couch. He was up before everybody else. Like,
he's come a long way. I watched Icon
threw towels into the washer and washed towels for everybody. Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's even brought back.
How do you feel about it? What do you think about him?
He's a great guy. Yeah. He's a good talent. He does do a good job of promoting himself. Absolutely. Yeah. And that does take you a lot of places in this business. And it didn't even think twice about bringing him into OVW. I mean, he's worked hard to develop a name for himself, and if you go and do that yourself, it's a lot easier to try to market you and promote you within if you've already done a good job of doing that yourself.
Yeah. So. He's done the right thing on how to get noticed because he wasn't like everyone else. He actually goes out there, he shuts up when he needs to, he listens, and
he wants to work notice of it. He's willing to work with everybody, and he's willing to take a loss. To put himself over, and not a lot of people can do that. Not a lot of people want to lay down and take the 1, 2, 3. They want to be the champ. They want to win. And there's so many people. You got to take the 1, 2, 3 every once in a while.
You got to learn how to be humble about losing, because you don't have to win all the time to be a winner.
Throughout life, I've learned more about losing than I ever did winning.
Yep.
Yeah.
You definitely learn when you lose.
Exactly.
If you don't learn, then you're not doing it right. So every loss can be an opportunity to grow and continue to prove and work on yourself even more. It's easier to see the things when you lose. Yeah. It's easier when you fail. It's so much easier to say, okay, what did I do wrong? Let's work on that. Let's do it right. It's easier to learn when you fail than it is when you win.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to celebrate when you're winning. Everybody sees the good stuff. Everybody sees the victories. Everybody sees the the results of the hard work that gets put in. Not everybody gets to see the hard work that gets put in.
Yeah.
So definitely.
And that's what you're talking about is like that you get to see his vulnerable side. You get to see his side when he's at home, maybe like, dang, I don't know if I can do it anymore. Just like, and then you pump him up like, yeah, you can do it. What's that like? What's that like being?
Well, I know, like, we just recently met, like, a year ago when I started at UWA, but there's, like, the last 7 years, we both have been very, very vulnerable because he actually just had a liver transplant.
Oh, shit.
Oh, damn.
18 months ago. And, you know, so he has been sick for the past 7 years, and wrestling, like he said, wrestling's been our life. It's been our entire life since we met. And our whole entire marriage has been just him being sick and me keeping him alive. And wrestling has had a lot to do with that. You know, just being a platform for us to get away from reality. And, you know, having OVW has helped him a lot. So being vulnerable is something that we know very much about, and taking the losses. He actually had to leave his boots in the ring 2 years ago now.
Well, it's about 3 years now because it was 18. Yeah,
so he got to the point where
Because that was because of your liver was bad?
Absolutely.
Yes.
What was your, what was...
So I had a condition that I developed 7 years ago.
Oh, man.
Called primary sclerosing cholangitis. Just so to make it in English terms, it develops inflammation in your bile ducts. Yeah. And so what would happen is my bile ducts would get inflamed. It would shut my liver down. So I was experiencing the same thing someone with end-stage liver failure would experience every 3 to 6 months.
Oh, wow.
For 7 years. And it just slowly kept getting worse and worse. And then 2022, I developed cirrhosis of the liver. Yeah. At that point, you're pretty much, your body's just shutting down.
Yeah.
So back in 2021, early 2021, when I started getting really, really sick, I realized I didn't have nothing left. I didn't. I weighed 180 pounds, soaking wet. I was yellow. I mean, you can imagine someone who's dying of liver failure.
Yeah.
I looked it very, very much so. And I made the decision at that time to leave my boots in the ring, because I always said that if I couldn't give 110%, I didn't want to do it no more.
Exactly.
I've always felt that way. And it was the hardest decision I ever made. My entire adult life, I started wrestling when I was 20 years old. And my entire adult life, I've been a wrestler. Yeah. I didn't know how to be Jesse. I've been Jesse Morris my whole life, basically. Exactly. And so it becomes part of who you are. It was the hardest decision I had to make, but I had to make it. And I made it under the precedence that I was dying. And then it slowly kept getting worse after that. December of 2022, I woke up, didn't even know who I was, didn't know who my wife was.
Man.
They told me I couldn't drive no more. They told me I couldn't work no more. They pretty much shut everything I could do down. And then by the grace of God, I got listed for my liver transplant on July 12th of 2023.
That's good
and
to hear.
Within 12 days, they found me a liver. It just doesn't happen. I'm a walking miracle.
That's
If
awesome.
there ever was one.
Did they fix the condition?
They did. They did. It's been nothing but to try to keep it as clean as I can, but it's been nothing but balls to the wall since my transplant.
So how did they
That's what
fix
I'm
the
talking about.
condition that screwed your liver up in the first place?
They took all my bile ducts out.
Oh, okay.
So when I had my liver transplant, they took out all my bile ducts. They replaced my bile ducts with my small intestines. So my entire bile duct system was gone now.
So your
They
bile
replaced it.
duct is like your liver, and then your gallbladder, and then your duct that goes to the
Well,
bowel
you
duct.
have, so it's like if you imagine a tree with roots. So the bile ducts are like your roots.
Yeah.
Go through
They
your
go-
system.
Go from your liver down to your pancreas into your intestines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, they took mine out when they took my liver out, and they took some, because you've got thousands of yards of intestines apparently.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they replaced my bile ducts with some intestines, and
Wow.
here we are today, a walking miracle.
That saved your life.
And I don't
saved
think-
my life,
this
saved
ain't-
everything.
This ain't no comparison to the pain you had, but I had a bad gallbladder at one point, and I knew that when I have gallbladder like a spasm or whatever, and it pressed against my liver, that was the worst pain ever. I'm sure you had
I dealt
worse.
with that actually,
Yeah.
and I just gave you the short version of my condition.
I
Obviously,
still
there were
can
several things.
still feel that pain in my side. Like I know it's not there, but it's like it was there for like a year. I didn't have insurance, and they were like, and finally when I got insurance, they were like, oh, you need your gallbladder. Took it out. They took it out.
Yep.
But like I could feel that. I'm sure you probably still can feel the liver pain.
Well, the first thing they took out on me was my gallbladder.
Yeah.
So when this all happened, the very first thing they did was go in and take my gallbladder out.
Yeah.
What happened actually, it was out of the blue. It was a normal day.
Yeah.
We're talking November of 17, or was it 16?
16.
November
We'd
of
been married for
16.
6
We'd been
months.
married for less than 6 months, and I was at home watching Louisville. I'm a huge Louisville fan. Go Cards. I was home watching the Louisville game, and it was halftime. I got up to walk down the hallway, and I just collapsed. Literally out of nowhere, this happened.
Yeah.
Literally, there was no signs. There was no warnings. There was no nothing. I just collapsed. They ended up taking me to the emergency room. They ran some lab work. Within minutes, they were rushing me into emergency surgery. My body was shutting down. I was septic. They said that there was only a 10% chance I was going to make it out of that surgery. They were telling them to call the family in, that it was pretty dire. That started my journey down my road to end up where I ended with my liver transplant.
Yeah.
That was day one of my condition. And it was completely unexpected.
When you woke up from your liver transplant, how did you feel?
Man, it's hard to even put into words.
Yeah. Was the pain? I mean, I'm sure you still had pain, but was the pain did you feel different?
Absolutely. So I was in ICU for a bit after my transplant. Transplant's a pretty hard surgery to go through. So I was on a ventilator for a couple days. And obviously during that time, I really didn't know much. But instantly from day one, so they told me everything about my transplant was nothing short of a miracle. So they told me to prepare to be in the hospital for 6 to 8 weeks after my transplant.
Yeah.
I walked out of the hospital 5 days after my transplant.
Nice.
5 days. I was in ICU for 2 of those days.
You wrestling 10 days after?
No, wasn't that close. I just recently actually went back to the ring. So I struggled really hard with the idea of coming back, because here's why.
Yeah.
So I'm old school. Yeah, I trained in 2004.
Nice.
You know, when we trained, it was a little different. Business was a little different. You earned respect in this business, and they taught you respect in a pretty vicious way.
Exactly.
And I'm grateful for every moment that I've had in this business, but it was a different time back then than it is now. And so I definitely was taught respect from the get-go. So when I left my boots in the ring, to me, that was something that can't be undone. But I left my boots in the ring under the precedence that I was dying.
Yeah.
When you're on the front side of a transplant and you have to have a transplant, and the odds of you getting a transplant in today's America is ungodly.
Yeah.
Like, I am nothing short of a miracle. Usually people sit on that list for years, never make it to the top of the list. I'm extremely grateful. I'm extremely
lottery
grateful.
winner.
It
It's
came out
literally, there was a lot of things that were in my favor. I was healthy enough. Even though I was dying, that the biggest trigger about a transplant is you have to be healthy enough to surgery, but you have to be sick enough to qualify. It's a vicious cycle I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
Literally, we begged and begged and begged for the entire time I was sick, because we knew from the beginning the only thing that was going to cure my condition was a liver transplant.
Exactly.
So at the beginning, after they fixed what was initially going on, I was relatively healthy. And I'm like, okay, I need a liver transplant. Let's do this thing. Like, if that's what it's going to take, why are we waiting?
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
you gotta get sick.
Unfortunately,
You had to wait till you
get
were
sick. And literally, we begged and begged and begged. And over a 3 to 5 year period, while I continued to get sicker, stuff just kept happening along the way. I started filling up with fluid. I started getting varices in my throat, which is blood vessels that swell up and bleed. And I would have to go in and I'd have to get those tied off. And I'd have to go in and I'd have to get...
You was dying.
I was dying.
Yeah.
I was dying. I
What
developed...
was you saying?
Constant itching, like just.
I developed an itch that I couldn't get to, literally all over my body, 24/7. Like, sleep was impossible.
Oh, God.
I was literally exhausted. And so all this stuff kept happening, and it just circled up to it. But back to what I was saying, as far as I'm extremely grateful, but I was old school. I kept fighting with the ideal. I got cleared to actually come back and wrestle a little bit over a year ago now.
Nice.
So a year after my transplant, so I had to wait 1 year before they would actually release me. But after my year mark, they were like, "You're good to go. This is your liver now. You could go." But I struggled for 6 to 8 months after that, because I left my boots in the ring.
Exactly,
I wanted to honor that.
I want to ask. Explain the aggravation that you would have watching somebody that you loved so much, like, literally die in front of you.
It was hard because, trying to be that rock, and, he kept wrestling in real life private. So, like, we had a village, but you don't always want to use your village. You don't always want to let everybody know what's going on. So, like, struggling with, watching him and my mental health, and just making sure that I kept everything, locked down at home, and trying to keep him encouraged, and trying to keep him, I never lost hope. There was a point where he did, but I never did. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like, how could I lose hope Because if we were both lost hope, then it's over.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
You had to be there to
I
be
had
the
to
hope.
Yep.
Yeah, I had
To
to be that
remind him,
rock.
hey,
Yeah.
something's going to happen here in a minute.
So I just always was like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's gonna come. It's gonna come, and that's kind of what helped me stay afloat as well. And there were days where I was just, I would lose my mind essentially
sure.
because I just didn't know what to do. It was like we were asking questions but not getting any answers, and like he said, there were things that were happening, and we would always go to the doctor, and I'd be like, okay, well, you take a medication, they give you a list of possible side effects. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but they give it to you anyway.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that. They'd say, oh, well, we don't want to do that in case it doesn't happen. Okay, but I want to be prepared for it in case it does happen.
Exactly.
It's called hepatic encephalopathy, where he woke up and didn't know who I was or who he was.
After the surgery, or just
No.
some
This
day?
was before.
Just some day
Before
that
it.
random day in the.
Well, because
life.
the toxins from his liver had built up and went to his brain. That's what that is.
Okay.
So they said that he could go. It wasn't gonna get any better. There was no
How long did
better.
that last?
Luckily, he only had 2 episodes of that.
Okay.
And I think it was a 3-month in between.
That had to be scary.
Yeah, because him not knowing who I am, and they said that he could go into fits of rage. It's like dementia, kind of.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I do in this instance? So living in constant fear of, is he just gonna wake up and not know who I am? How am I gonna get him in the ambulance? How am I gonna get him in the car? Is he gonna try and grab the keys and go take himself to the hospital? Like,
And in the meantime, you probably have a job, right?
Yeah.
And did you
holding
work
on
through all this stuff too?
After December of 2022, they told me I couldn't work no more. So
'Cause of
at that
the
point, I was
HE.
off. So
So,
for the last year, I was
understandable.
No
off.
money, no health insurance.
Well, I had health insurance. Luckily, through my job, I was able to go on short-term disability and then long-term disability. I've been.
Where'd you work at?
I work at Norton Healthcare. I still do.
Okay. Shout out to them for.
Shout out
to
for
them.
Norton Healthcare.
Yes.
Absolutely. They
Shout out to them
They backed me 100% the entire time.
So did they really back you for?
Yes.
110%. I had full
That's
coverage
awesome.
insurance through my entire transplant. They held my job for me the entire time I was
Wow.
off. I was off work for 17 months, and I went back on January 1st of 2024 with open arms,
Yes.
ready to go. Here's your job.
Shout them out again.
and not
please.
only did they hold
What's
my
it
job,
called?
they held my position.
Norton Healthcare.
Norton Healthcare.
Yes,
And that's in Louisville.
that's in Louisville,
Yes.
Kentucky.
Okay.
Yes.
Are
And you were talking about it
what is your
earlier.
job? At there?
I'm a revenue psychoanalyst.
Okay.
So basically, we're in charge of the budgets and stuff
Okay.
at all the hospitals.
Okay. Cool.
And earlier we were talking about the
Yeah.
boots
Shout out
and
to
stuff.
them thank you guys for doing that for this man.
The boots side ring you were talking about earlier. That had to have hurt you, but the reason why you put the boots there is because you thought that you were going to be dead.
Yes.
Was your job
And-
is understanding?
Not all of them.
Oh no. So you had several different jobs.
Well, the thing is because we would be in and out of hospitals constantly.
Yeah.
I would start a job, be in that time period of training, and they
Yeah.
take those very seriously. You can't miss. You can't.
Yeah.
So if I would have to miss,
Yeah.
they wouldn't.
Yeah.
They
They wouldn't
gotta do
understand.
business, and that's okay. Business is business, but I have to. He comes first, obviously.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
being in and out of the hospital, it was just constant battle of just and that's what played a lot into my mental health too, and
Yeah.
it was just so rough.
Frustrating, very
living
frustrating,
in
I'm sure.
survival mode. It took a lot. Probably about a couple months ago is when I finally ended being in survival mode.
And you was sick the full time. How many years?
Yep.
So it was a little bit over 7 years total.
Yeah.
Sick with the liver stuff
Sick
for
with the liver
7
stuff,
years.
yeah.
Good
Yep.
Lord.
Our whole marriage.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for you having to go through that, but you look great today.
Thank you.
Oh, yes,
look
you
great
do.
today.
I live by the motto, make today better than yesterday.
I
It's
bet you
not
do.
just something I say. It's something I live by 100%.
Yeah.
I truly, honestly am grateful for every single
And
day
I'm going to
this
put you on the
earth.
spot here. Explain what this woman means to you.
That's what I was going to ask too.
Because, I mean, she's sat there with you like for all this whole time, right? You was with him
The
the whole
entire
time?
The
time.
entire
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
She
So
kept me
explain
alive.
to us how you feel about her.
She kept me alive.
Yeah.
100%. I would not be here today if it was not for her.
Okay.
I 100% had come to the conclusion. You're going to put me on the spot?
I did put you on the spot, man. But, I mean, I don't know if you've told her or
She's
not. I'm sure you
right.
have 100
We-
times.
day.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
day.
Every day.
Has he told you? Has
We-
he told you?
Every day.
Yeah.
I had come to the conclusion that I was going to die.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of the reasons why I
Did you come to that conclusion too?
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I always I kept preparing
Yeah.
myself because you never know. But
Yeah.
in the forefront was we're gonna make it out of this.
Yeah.
So there was you shove it to the back of your mind, but at the point where we were in life, it felt inevitable.
So you came to the conclusion where you felt you were going to die.
I come to the conclusion I was going to die, and I'd given up.
Yeah.
And it took
When did that happen? When did you give up? Like,
in December of 2022 when they told me I couldn't work, I couldn't
Yeah.
drive.
yeah.
Literally, I was just a sitting duck, and I would wake up and not know who I was. And we went into the liver specialist's office in January of 2023 and said, "Hey, what can this get me listed?" And they said, "Well, unfortunately, this condition is just
Minor inconvenience.
a minor inconvenience."
Yeah, that sucks.
And my wife said, "Excuse me, doctor, but it's more than inconvenience, and my husband don't know who I am."
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so I had given up. I had given up all hope, and she kept me alive.
Yeah.
And I'm
She
forever
was your
grateful
ride
for
or
that.
die.
She was 100%. And so what changed my course? This is what changed my course, guys. Since we're going to get this deep into it, I might as well go all the way
get
with
deep,
the story. So this is what changed our course. So in February of 2022, I went to, 2023, sorry. I went to my primary care doctor and said, this is it. University of Louisville has been telling me for 7 years that I can't qualify for a transplant because I'm not sick enough. I'm dying.
Yep.
I have nothing left. My primary care doctor told me on that day, I'm going to get you a second opinion. I want you to go to either the University of Cincinnati or the University of Philadelphia. I don't care which one, but we're going to get you a second opinion. He called and put referrals into both. The first ones to call me was University of Cincinnati. University of Cincinnati, by a guy by the name of Travis Dottie. I'm forever grateful for Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
He called me, got me in for my appointment. He was a transplant coordinator. Got me in for my appointment, met him that day. We ended up meeting the entire transplant team that day. We told them everything I'd been through. They did all the tests and stuff. They told me that day. This was on March 20th of 2023. He told me that day they're going to save my life. I'd been told this for 7 years, so I was still skeptical
Yeah,
at this
you're
point.
like, you're full of
And
shit.
that's understandable.
They had me go
We're
through
like,
all
we won't
these
believe
tests
it
and
until
stuff.
we
They
see
had me
it.
go through all these tests and stuff. There's so much you have to go through to qualify for a transplant. All these different tests,
Exactly.
bone densities, heart scans, EKGs. Dentist, there's all kinds of stuff you have to go through to get cleared for a liver transplant. I got cleared for my liver transplant on July 11th of 2023. We went in, we talked to the doctors, we told them, we went through everything again. We went through the history. We met everybody on that day. We met the transplant team. We met the transplant doctors. We met the nutritionists. We met the nurses that were going to care for us. We met the ICU.
Everybody.
Literally everybody within the program.
That's what I'm talking about.
They told us that we would find an answer within 24 hours. We hadn't made it back to Louisville from Cincinnati, and they called and told me I was listed.
Yep.
You want to talk about feeling something, guys?
That's what I'm
bad.
talking about.
I'd been told no for so long.
Yep.
University of Louisville almost let me die. And I'm not, this isn't to trash anybody or any particular doctors or any particular campus, but University of Louisville was going to let me die.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
true.
only thing that makes sense is every 3 to 6 months when my liver would shut down, I'd have to go into surgery. And they would make 60 to 70 grand every single time I went in for this ERCP.
Yep.
And it would open my liver back up, and it would bring my build score back down, and it would keep me alive long enough for them to make that 60 grand another time 6 months later.
Yep.
And I hate to say that, but that's what it feels like.
That does feel like that.
I went through them for 7 years, and I kept being told, no, you don't qualify. And what they kept telling me is the reason I didn't qualify for a liver transplant is because my liver was secondary to my condition. That the primary sclerosing cholangitis was my condition, and my liver condition was secondary to that, so I didn't qualify for a liver transplant, which is not true, by the way.
Exactly.
So if you are out there and you're dealing with PSC, please go to University of Cincinnati. They'll save your life, I promise.
Yep.
So they told me on July 11th that I was qualified for the transplant list. They got me listed. 12 days later, they found me a liver.
Now that's what
I
I'm
fought
talking
for
about.
7 years to stay alive, and I kept being told no, and then 12 days later they had me a liver, and they had me, literally they called us at like midnight on the 22nd. It was like 11 p.m. on the 22nd, so we got your liver, you got to get to Cincinnati. I was in Cincinnati. It takes about an hour and, 47 minutes to get to UC from our house. It
Yeah.
took me about 46 minutes to get there.
Hell yeah.
And literally as soon as I got there, they took me straight to the transplant team. They were hooking me up, and they were getting me on the
That
team.
had to make you
Wow.
excited when
Oh,
you found
man.
that
It
out.
was.
It was
Wow.
I think we went through every emotion in the book, like within a minute, like within an hour. I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is it. We're
Yeah.
excited, and then we're like, oh gosh, this is a big surgery. And, there's the risk is worth the reward.
That's
They
right.
obviously say it was supposed to be like an 8 to 10 hour surgery. His was like 6 hours. There could be death. There could be lots of blood bleeding. They run through all the risks and everything. But we were just like, we've gone through so much. It's stupid not to take that risk and get to the reward.
At that point, you felt like you were going to die anyway, so you might as well,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to die anyway. Let's see what we can do to keep me alive. And they
Plus
they
the
did.
fact that they got you in there quick too.
Oh, man.
So did you, do you know where the liver came from?
I do.
Yes.
I do. I've actually got to speak with the family.
Okay.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. So the liver come from, his name's David, and they're from Philadelphia. He had a wife, and he had 3 kids, 3 girls. His youngest is 6, and she thinks her dad is a superhero, which he is. If you
Yes,
see
he
this
is.
on the internet, your dad is definitely a superhero. I wouldn't be here today without him. Not all heroes wear capes, guys.
Exactly.
And if you're not an organ donor, please sign up to be an organ donor.
Yes.
You could save somebody's life mine.
How do you end up passing away,
So
Car wreck or something?
yeah, I've heard the entire story, and this is kind of where the survivor's remorse kicks in because I honestly felt extremely guilty. I know everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I know that 100% everything happens for a reason. I'm not going to get too religious on your podcast. I don't want to do that to you guys, but everything happens for a reason.
You say whatever you want to say.
And hearing their side of the story, it made me feel guilty for praying for what I prayed for. So, as I said, I'd come to the conclusion I was going to die.
Yeah.
So when I got listed, then it's just a matter of finding me a liver.
Yep.
I literally prayed every ounce I had in me every single day that I'd get that phone call. But the only way I was going to get that phone call is if someone lost their life.
Yeah.
It's the only way I was going to get the phone call. But on that side of it, I want to be alive. I want this. And so I got cleared, and there's no way.
It didn't happen. the way-
God just works in mysterious ways. It's just all there is to it,
I
guys.
feel like David would have wanted you to have that.
Let me, yeah, definitely. So
Well, he was a volunteer fireman and an EMT, I believe. So he saved lives every day,
Wow.
and he also saved lives when he passed away.
his
too.
last wish. And
That's right.
So as I was saying, we had to go through all kinds of stuff to get clear for the transplant. The last thing that I had to get clear for my transplant was a colonoscopy.
Yeah.
I literally got my colonoscopy done on July 19th. I had to be there at 6 o'clock that morning. I was on my way home from my colonoscopy at 12:36 p.m. on the 19th. I prayed and begged and prayed for the answers to get my liver. At 1 p.m. on the 19th of July, 2023, this man was walking down his hallway and collapsed unexpectedly. No prior history, no reason for it to happen. Died of a massive stroke.
Wow.
Just the timing and everything, the way it happened is just, I know everything happens for a reason, and that was the plan for it to happen that way. And everything about the transplant, as I said, was a miracle. When the surgeon said after the surgery that every vein, every vessel, every portal, every connection was a perfect match. He said they'd never seen anything like it in 15 years. That usually when it comes to transplants, they have to make some type of adjustment. They have to redo a vein. They have to redo a portal to make it work. Mine was a perfect match. He said in 15 years he'd never seen anything like it. It was literally as if the person who had that liver was holding it until my body had to have it.
Exactly.
Well,
And
they
there's-
said that because he's B,
Be positive.
so his blood type is rare. So they said it'd be easier for him to get a liver on the list. They told David's wife that it'd be harder for them to find a match for his organs
Because it's rare.
because it's rare. So we were getting told one thing and they were getting told the opposite.
Yeah.
And then it just so happened that he needed a liver and David had the
And
right
everything
blood
had to
type
happen the
and-
way it happened for me to be here today, guys. Speaking to his wife, she said that literally after they told them there was nothing else they can do, they had him on a ventilator. He had a stroke, so they had him on a ventilator. They were keeping him alive. They told him that he would never have any brain functions if they can keep him on the machines as long as they want it, but there was not going to be, any recovery.
Yeah.
She didn't know what to do. She started to try to call people. She was obviously losing her mind. She got his wallet out and opened his wallet. And when she looked at his ID, it said he was an organ donor on his ID. And she literally showed the doctors at that moment, he's an organ donor. What do we do? Because they were getting ready to turn his machine off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they would have turned his machine off, I wouldn't be here today. I know I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be alive without my liver transplant.
Exactly.
Everything happened the way it had to happen for me to be here, and I'm just extremely grateful for that.
That's crazy. That's a great,
I think that
great,
he would have
great
wanted that
story.
way.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Saving a life on as well.
Yeah, and then of course, whenever you're an organ donor, you have what's called an honor walk.
Yep.
And so they keep you on the machine, and they walk you down the hallway, and all the nurses come out, and I actually got to watch the video of his honor walk, and I cry every time I see it, obviously. I mean, I'm extremely grateful for it, but it's just something that you can't even put into words.
Yep.
So, but yeah, a little survivor remorse for me. I do feel guilty knowing the way stuff happened, but I'm extremely grateful, and knowing the type of person David was, and knowing that he would want me to be here today makes me even more grateful and even more motivated to continue to do what I do every day.
Exactly.
That's
Yes.
a great story.
Plus, you're also an agent for OVW now.
Yep.
So, as I said, wrestling's always been a part of my life.
Yeah.
I've always been a wrestler. When I started getting extremely sick, so this is probably back around 2021, because it's been about 4 years now.
Yeah.
What are we, 2025? Yeah. So when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to continue to wrestle, I started wrestling back at OVW again, because I was around OVW several times throughout the year, especially earlier on in my career. But
Was you there when Cena and all them guys
I
was?
was.
You really?
Yeah.
was.
Nice.
So here's the thing. So I'm not familiar how familiar you guys are with the history of OVW and all the people that have been there.
I am.
Are you? So
Explain it to us.
Jack Black. Do you know Jack Black?
Yep.
He was part of Bowling Services. Well, I've known Jack. He's been my best friend my entire life.
Nice.
So my dad passed away back in 2000 and no, not before 2000. Yeah, right at 2000. Right at 2001, I believe it was 2001. My dad died. We worked together at Central State Hospital. My dad worked there as well. And Jack's been my best friend, like I said, my whole life. Well, Jack's always kind of been like an older brother. He was always kind of older brother to me. He was always bigger. He was always, kind of like my protector, kind of took care of me. When my dad got sick, he made a promise to my dad that he would always take care of me. He wouldn't let nothing happen to me.
Good man.
He was already training in OVW. He was already part of the program. He had been signed to the WWE contracts and stuff. I was just the fat kid hanging out. Like, I was just Jack's friend. I was just always around. I was always around all the guys. And at that time, I'd never wanted to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
But then once my dad got sick and my dad passed away, Jack's like, look, I told your dad I'd take care of you. Why don't you look into getting training? And he actually got me into training to become a wrestler. And that's how, like I said, I was 20 years old. So basically my entire adult life, I've been J-Mo Jesse Morris. So
Hell yeah.
So I've always kind of been around OVW. But like I said, so when I started getting sick and I started, when I realized I wasn't going to be able to do it no more, wrestling's always been a part of my life. It's always been my escape from reality. And I wasn't ready to give that up. I went to Al Snow. I was like, listen, Al, I love this business. You know that. You know me as a wrestler. I give everything I have to this business, but I can't do it no more. I'm dying. I can't, but I don't want to give it up. Is there anything I can do, to stay a part of this? And he gracefully took me in and started training me in the ropes as far as being an agent, and took me in as an agent at OVW, and slowly kept giving me more and more responsibilities over the last couple of years. And, I look at Al now as a father figure.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put him over too much because he'll get mad at me, but he actually is a great guy. He actually is a great guy, and he actually, I learned more in the last 4.5 years, 5 years as an agent at OVW than I ever did wrestling in 17 years prior. He's just his mind for the business is just unbelievable. You'll be struggling with an idea and he'll just spit it off like he's in his sleep, like he just woke up. You just woke up from a nap, and it's the most simplest thing he could have ever said to you.
What? Explain to the people that listen what an agent does.
So there's, as we were talking about as far as sporting cast and stuff, it takes a lot to put on a weekly wrestling show.
Yeah.
It's not just show up, wrestle, and congratulations and the day's over. There's a lot of, production. There's a lot of people in the back that go into it. So agents, we're with Al Snow. Obviously, this is Al Snow's baby. Everything runs through Al.
Yeah.
The stories, the feuds, everything that is built around Al's, mind and what Al, sees fit. But as agents, we're the buffers.
Yep.
We're the buffers. So I'll say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be done. Now I need you to go do this. You go do this. And so we'll each take different matches. We'll each take different, storylines, and we'll assist the wrestlers in making those happen.
Yes,
so that's basically our job. We're on the headsets. We're in the back. We're giving cues. We're counting down the commercial breaks.
Yep.
You know, when it talks to live television, there's a lot of stuff, and not even just as agents. There's so much that goes on in production. There's so many production guys that never get any love. I want to give you guys all a shout out.
Yes, they do.
Out there. There's a lot of moving parts that go in. You know, there's guys like AJ McKay. He's a commentator at OVW, but he does a lot of production stuff for us in the back that doesn't get noticed. There's a lot of students that get in and help us with camera work and with putting music on, and there's all kinds of things going. Daniel Brown, that guy never gets enough credit. We wouldn't be able to run our weekly show without Daniel Brown. I know most of your listeners do not even know what that name is or who
probably
he is,
do.
but I promise you, we would not be doing what we do without the guy. He is simply amazing. All of our video work is so much that goes in. When you're watching and you see the lower thirds, you see OVW this Friday night. That's all done from Daniel. He's an amazing guy, and he's so selfless. I don't know how he does it. I give up so much of my time doing what I do, from Sunday night to Wednesday night into Thursday up to Thursday evening, just to do our show. Yep. And I don't even do half of what these guys do. They live, sleep, dream, eat just to make sure we put television on each week. So we're forever grateful for all those guys. So yeah, that basically an agent is behind the scenes making stuff happen. So.
An agent is a very important part of the show because, think about it. Not only does OVW have agents, but W has agents, and they also help put together the matches we see.
How many agents is there?
There's
is there other, is it agents and then there's other?
No, there's just us.
Just agents in the back.
As far as working directly with the talent, it's just the agents.
Okay.
And there's let's see, one.
So there's the video production crew, and then there's the agents. The agents work with the talent to come up with the match they choreograph the matches? Do they or you just come up with stories?
We just come up with directions that we need to go. And we're not gonna tell you to go out there and put on a dance. We're not gonna make you dance.
Okay.
Exactly.
We want you to go. We're not gonna call your bumps for you. We just try to help you get in the direction and help put you in the best position to be able to succeed.
Give you an idea of what you should be doing out there inside that ring.
Exactly.
So an agent say how many agents are back there?
So there's 5 of us.
5 of them. Mm-hmm. So you go to the other agent hey,
so
Al told me this.
So we all get together. Okay. So we have agent meetings. So we'll have an agent meeting at 4:00 on Thursdays, and we'll go over the business, and we'll all hear the business together.
Yeah.
And then we'll individually get assigned certain matches or certain guys to work with. And then we'll take the story that we're all getting together, and then we'll go out and disperse and do it. We work as a unit. We work as a team. So
that's what I'm talking about.
If I'm working with you directly and I'm telling you this is what we're going to do and this is why we're doing it, and then you go to somebody else and say, okay, this is what J-Mo told me, they're going to tell you the same thing because we're all in this together.
Yep.
We get the message. Like I said, we're buffers. So we're the guys that get the fuck yous. Oh, excuse my language.
No, you're good.
That's fine.
So we're the guys that get hollered at, and then we take it, and then we make it pretty and deliver the message. So.
Exactly.
Cool.
That's kind of like
a lot of people don't understand, what an agent does or any of that kind of stuff. So
it's kind of like
mostly just see the forefront,
they see the show.
They
actually see the show, and a lot of people don't understand what goes into producing the show. Just kind of like this show. There's a lot of other things that happens on this show to even produce this little tiny show that we have here.
I'll be honest with you, though. I'm extremely grateful for the OVW roster because they make our job so easy. Yeah. When you work with great talent, it's easy to say, okay, guys, this is what I need you to do, and let them go out there and do their thing. So it's a lot easier.
It's a great product.
Absolutely. It's so easy when you have great talent that knows how to follow direction and is able to go out there and put on a story. And seeing the stories portrayed the way you want them to, there's no other feeling like it. Besides standing behind the curtain, of course, there's no other feeling like it. So.
I feel that way about EWA. They put on such a great product, and for me as a photographer, they make my job easy. They make me feel so welcome. So it being around people who can look for me and give me the good shots, and just makes my job a lot easier. And
especially even higher.
How did you how did you get into photography? Did you go somewhere and train?
Took the words out of my mouth.
Train yourself. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Growing up, I always had an eye for it.
Yeah.
I just never really got into it all that much. I actually wanted to be a cop growing up.
Wow.
You see how far that got.
Y'all probably played that before.
Hey.
Arrest me.
That's why she wanted those handcuffs.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that makes sense now.
But no, I ended up running concessions
Nice.
at Supreme in Madison, and then this guy comes in and sweeps me off my feet. He was kind of charming and
Got
funny.
that Riz.
And then just throughout the years, I wore many different hats: concessions, door, merch, and then I had told him, I think I want to try photography. I think I want to, just.
It's been in you've been thinking about it since
Yeah.
you was a kid, right?
And so.
Now that's a great idea. Photography.
Yeah, she started her own
great.
photography company way before she started doing wrestling.
Nice.
And he
So
got me a little Canon camera, and then I would go to shows and I would sit in the crowd and I would just snap here and there. And then eventually I was like, you know what, I think I want to upgrade and I think I want to get more into it. And I've never gone to classes. I have just self-taught on YouTube.
DIY.
Yeah,
Do it yourself.
YouTube, Google, other photographers. I'm in different groups. I'm the person that likes to research everything.
Yeah.
So like
I love
I will
YouTube.
get into groups on Facebook and just ask questions or like look at other people's pictures, and I will literally just play around with things and see if I can get the same result. I don't know. It's just more interesting that way than going to a class and learning that way for me.
Yeah, that's how I learned anything. That's how I learned the podcast was.
Hey, that's how I learned how to
Around.
do my promotions and all that.
So like I just kind of like worked my way into it, and now it's I don't think I could ever not do it.
Yeah.
It's just like all the kids
Because you love it.
Yeah, no, I do. Sometimes I will sit there, and now you're gonna watch me. I'll be sitting there and I'll be like watching the match and forget that I'm supposed to be taking pictures because I get so long, I get so entranced.
Yeah.
But
I do the same thing because me and Johnny do a lot of video, and it's very similar to what you're doing, but you're just doing the steals and we're doing the video. We
And sometimes you get lost in the action.
well,
we
trying not to
take-
die is a big
Yes.
thing too.
The way-
Especially when you're up close.
the way
Yeah.
the way that I do video and the way Johnny does it is and I taught Johnny how to do this is we started out the way I taught Johnny how to do it. We started out just taking clips. We don't take like long form videos.
Yeah.
We take like I'll run the video I'll record for maybe at the most a minute or 30 seconds. The way I taught Johnny was I was like, Johnny, just use Snapchat because it'll video and it'll video 30 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
And you'll catch, we'll catch. Well, we're out there trying to catch moves.
Right.
We're trying to catch some storylines. We're not trying to give too much away of the video or the
finish.
match or the finishes, but so we just kind of we don't go
Highlight.
because I don't have time to edit. Yeah, the highlights.
Yeah.
I don't have time to come back in here and go through a whole hour-long video and take out the pieces that I want. We take we make the pieces as we go.
Right.
Because and I'll send it to him and I'll post a bunch of my own and he posts without Johnny the podcast wouldn't run. I send a bunch of my stuff to him. And then he posts all the stuff for the podcast.
One of my favorite shots that I caught recently was Ethan Hire getting power bombed onto the apron.
Oh yeah.
That was a good shot because I catch it from him catching Ethan Hire, lifts him up because you got to have it in frame because if you're having the camera out this way and the guy's got the guy up for the power bomb position, but you're not catching him, it's not going to look good. But you're catching him and the power bomb position, then you follow him as he throws the guy onto the apron. That's a good shot.
So, what's your technique of trying to get that? And what do you look for in a wrestling match when you're actually filming? Do you do any video, or you just do still shots completely? And how do you know when to hit that button?
Honestly, I just keep my finger on the trigger at all times and hope for the best. I've been around the business so long. I just kind of, know when big stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just mostly pointing and shooting. I do stills, and then like you said, I don't have another me. I don't have a partner.
Yeah.
It's all me. So I usually end up with about 3,000 photos at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't put out that much. I think maybe 500 at the most, 100 each match or whatever. They get a lot. The guys and gals get a lot.
Yeah. Do you charge for that or no?
I mean, not them individually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the show, she gets paid from the show to come in and do photography. And just cheap plug, because you talk about cheap plugging. GoldenAgesPhotography.com.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah. Shout out your
photography.
As I said, she actually she actually started her own business way before she even started doing wrestling photography. She was doing weddings. She does senior photos. She does summer photos, family photos. She does all of it. So.
I love doing that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like wedding videos and stuff. You put that stuff on YouTube as shorts, you get all kinds of video. I got one video of I went and did a video to a friend's wedding, and I got a couple videos were like 60,000 views. Just a little short of
People
like,
love weddings.
People love weddings. They really do.
Well, I'll be scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, and I'll be like, oh, that's a good shot. That looks like mine. And then I'll be like, oh, that is mine.
That is mine.
And then, like, the day after I send them all out, my Facebook is just flooded with nothing but photos. And I'm like, it's great because, you know, here lately, especially, I felt very appreciated, especially, like, with Ethan Heyer, Dallas Edwards, JJ Lawson,
Omega
Steven Storm, Omega. You know, those guys really push me. They promote me. They love all the pictures I give them. You know, they're just amazing. And they keep my name out there. So I really
I can attest
them.
Your work is great.
Thank you.
It's funny when you ask her about how do you know what to look for. And she was saying she's been around the business so long, I feel like I've tarnished her. Like just the other night we were watching wrestling, and literally before the finish happened, she said, he's going to beat that guy with a cutter. And sure enough, that was the finish of the match. I was like, "How'd you know that?" She's like, "I just figured that's what was going to happen based off what they were doing."
You probably studied the match and know what's going to happen when they just by the look on their face. You're like, "I'm going to get." I can see that he's going to do. I can do that too. I know what's going to happen.
As long as the guys in the ring know how to work, yes, you can.
Exactly, because there are some guys that don't know.
Some guys are like, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I mean,
this is going to be interesting.
If she's doing EWA, she's got some really good wrestlers.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Who else are you taking pictures for?
So coming back is 4PW. They were in Scottsburg, but I think we're moving now. I don't remember where we're moving to. They're coming back in March, I believe. I love all those guys. Some of those guys are from Supreme and Madison. And they're kind of meshed. They're just from all around. I do some road shows for OVW when they need a photographer.
Heck
I did the Pikeville show.
They're going back to Pikeville soon.
We
right?
are
Yes.
April 25th.
I did the what other show did I
Supreme.
do? Supreme.
Consistently, Supreme and EWE are your
and then
two main
4PW
bookings.
when it comes back.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and if you would have told me 10 years ago that my wife was going to have a Kentucky wrestling license, I'd have said, you're full of crap. She now gets bookings and I don't. Like y'all said, y'all see me down EWA and stuff, but I ain't been working there. I just been coming and helping out and showing up.
Yep.
She's booked and I'm not. I'm getting in the car with her bookings. I'm like, what the heck's going on here?
It's the reverse.
That's funny. I did see you backstage, and I knew that you worked for OVW, and I was like,
And I remember
I wanted to talk to you a couple times, but I don't know. I just got sometimes it's like I just want to leave people alone, you know.
I remember him from OVW back then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I was like, oh, that J-Mo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because when she mentioned that she's married to OVW talent, I was like, I'm going to go see who it is. And sure enough, I see J-Mo. I'm like, oh, that Jesse Morris.
Yep.
So
They want to know me.
You just told us that you have gotten back in the ring. Tell us, explain this to us.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's full circle moment. Like, so I struggled with it. Like as I said, because I'm old school, I struggled with the idea of since I left my boots in the ring. But I did that under pressure since I was dying. So I had some important conversations with some people that I really trust and really respect in this business. And every single one of them gave me the same advice. What's stopping you? There's nothing stopping you. They got why I was struggling with the idea of it, but they know why I did it and why I had to do it. But now that I got the second lease on life, why waste it?
Exactly.
Why waste it? I mean,
I told him he left his old self in the ring. Like, that guy's dead. He's
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're a
he's
new
person.
person.
He's a new man. So he,
And so the first time I actually, it's just been here recently. Actually, it's been like in the last 2 months that I went back for the first time, and I'd actually went back to Supreme, and I'd wrestled at Supreme, and so standing behind the curtain, my music hits, and this place goes nuts. I mean, they go absolute nuts, and you always have this fear in the wrestling business. I mean, even though I'm still been around and people still see me on social media and stuff, I haven't wrestled. I thought they forgot who I was.
Yeah, like, they forgot about you.
I mean, this business is what have you done for me lately business. And so.
Not by the fans, though, really.
This place, I mean, but like I did not. Like I expected, you know, because there's a lot of people that do follow me and follow my transplant and follow my story. And so I expected, you know, a reaction.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect a 2-minute standing ovation.
Yeah.
And literally I couldn't talk. Like I was bawling like a baby and it was all real, raw emotions. And
the hero's journey,
you deserved it.
It was a full circle moment for me. It was literally like I got my life back. That moment was like, okay, I did the right thing. I did the right thing.
Yes, you
100%.
did.
And so it's been, and so I've wrestled a couple other times since then.
Who'd you have the match with that night?
Yes.
So I wrestled against their champion. His name's Derek Winter. He's the Supreme Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've actually wrestled him a couple times now.
Good kid. He's a good kid.
He's a good kid. He actually is. I actually
What's his
wrestled.
name?
I actually
Derek
Derek
Winter?
Winter. I actually wrestled with his. I actually wrestled with his dad.
Yeah, he's a
I've wrestled with his dad for 15 years. So
Heck yeah.
shout out to Mark Jackson.
Maybe we can get him in
Shout out
here.
to Mark Jackson.
Yeah. So yeah, and then oddly enough, guys, I'm actually debuting for EWA next month. So
Oh, no
I'll
shit.
be at AWA
Really?
next. You guys will get to
For
see me
what?
next
No,
month.
we'll have to come.
You know what?
Yeah.
You came there. You kept your ears open. I always tell wrestlers this: you want to get booked,
Show
you gotta
up.
use this
That's right.
and not this.
That's right.
Because too many of them think that.
Do you know who you're going to
Yeah,
wrestle?
the
I do. But it hasn't been announced
You're not gonna
yet.
tell
So
us?
yeah,
Okay,
it
yeah.
hasn't been announced
Yeah,
yet. So.
you don't get talked.
I'll let
can't-
them, I'll
you
let them
can't
do
tell
their
us.
thing.
Yeah.
I'll let them
It's
do
a
their thing.
surprise,
So.
guys.
Exactly. You gotta wait until next
No,
month.
I want to know now. That's what we do. We're journalists. We need to know.
Right.
We can talk
journalists,
about
but
it off the
we
air.
also
We
gotta
can talk
remember-
about it off the
Okay,
air.
you'll tell us afterward. Yeah.
But you are old school, right?
Yes, sir.
You left your boots out of the ring.
Yes, sir.
Well, I see it. You left your old self out of the ring.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Once you got that transplant,
You're a new man.
I am a
you
new
were a
man.
new man.
Yeah.
And it was time to get back inside the ring
New career
because
coming
now
up
you have a
on
new
you.
life.
Yeah, absolutely. And
How much do you plan to go back like a bunch, or you just going to like here and there?
So
Well,
originally I said I'm just gonna go here and there. I mean, I want it to be a part of my life, so I'm gonna do it. But
Now
it's
you're booked
wrestling.
every- now you're
It's
booked every
wrestling.
weekend, right?
It's wrestling.
like when we say wrestling is a big part of our lives, this man proposed to me at Supreme. After I
Nice.
told him
In
not
the ring?
to.
In the ring?
It
Yes.
was, yeah. I mean,
That's how it should be
and
done.
I had no
Such a
clue
romantic
up until
wrestler,
the
man.
moment he got
But
off
it was
the
actually
ground.
really cool. It was actually really cool the way we did it. Me and my tag team partner at that time, we actually did a whole skit about it.
I was oblivious.
We got into an argument in the ring. We were tag team partners. We got into an argument in the ring, and then
They
he
had
sta-
thrown rose petals at me. But I'm so used to their shenanigans, it didn't really phase me. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Was you
with it.
taking pictures that night?
No.
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 I was in the audience.
I was in between like being just a kind of a fan and a wife, and had just being done with concessions there.
Yeah.
So I was like idling.
Okay.
But yeah, so me and my tag team partner, we go out for a match, and we end up getting into an argument, and he goes to leave, and then he turns around, and he goes, you know what, I'm going to give you a word problem. I'm going to let you make it up. Since you want to be a butthole tonight, let me make it up to you. If you get this word problem right, then we'll be friends again. Like, what's your word problem? And he starts going on, and he's like, me, my friend Will, and my friend Mary, we're all at this restaurant together. Who's sat next to each other? And he started going through it, and it ends up saying, will you marry me? Is what I end up saying. But before that, it's like, I don't know, Will, Mary, you, me. He's like, no. Why would I let you sit next to Mary? You don't even like Mary. This whole bit.
Who came up
That's
with
a great
this?
way to propose.
My friend actually came up with the skit.
Oh, wow.
So, man,
What's
I
his
really
name?
liked
Shout
it.
him out.
Shout him out.
His name was Spaz. Donnie
Spaz.
Scroggins. Is his
Donnie
name.
Scroggins.
He's smart.
Yeah.
And he was your tag team partner.
He was my tag team partner at that time, yeah. And so, but yeah, he came up with the skit and everything, and I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. And so, like she said, she was completely shocked. Literally
It was
all the way
my
up,
birthday.
literally all the way up to the point where I said, Will, you, Mary, me, and he goes, yeah, sure, why not? And I turned around and got on my knees and asked her to marry me.
What's up, Donnie Green?
That's incredible. That's an incredible story.
Yeah, and then
You're just fucking full of stories, right? You're just full of incredible stories. You guys are great.
We have all
And hey,
kinds.
you made Bobby Blake cry because he tuned in and heard your story about the transplant.
love you, Bobby.
He said that made him tear up.
I love Bobby.
Bobby's
a great
awesome,
guy.
man.
He's a great man.
I know he's back to being the wrestling because of us.
Oh, is he really? Is it your fault? So we get to blame you, huh?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
been doing so good in his life, and
I'll
now you're going to
explain
drag
how,
him back into
because,
this
I know.
mess.
Because back in 2022, Sean Johns booked him as a guest we brought him on here. He was out of business. He had not done anything, and
He hadn't talked to anybody, any
long
wrestlers
time.
for a long time.
So it's y'all's fault.
Yep, because then we told him, cut your promo to us. He said, I don't know, guys. I don't think I can do it. And then he start going to the meanness, the cheatiness, and cross
Sit there
kicking
right there in that chair where you're at.
It's
I will
kind of
definitely.
like-
I will put Bobby over any day of the week.
Yeah.
He is 10 times a better human than he ever was, a manager or a wrestler.
Yeah.
He is amazing. I love Bobby.
He's an
Yes,
awesome
he
guy.
is.
He really is. He's incredible. Like every time I go to the show and I see him, I got to go up and shake his hand and say, he's just so nice to you. And I know that's not his character in the ring and stuff, but he's a great guy. He really is.
Did you know that he is Jordan Cage's best friend in the whole wide world?
I want to get Jordan on here.
Oh,
There
that's
you
going to be
go.
hard.
Get Jordan on here.
Yeah, Jordan's going to be hard because, like Bobby said, he doesn't really do appearances because
He's a great wrestler, though.
He
man.
is.
He
is
can talk.
such a good wrestler.
I
Yes.
think that he's a little shy outside the ring.
He knows when that bell rings, though. He knows how to
Yep.
put it on for
Yeah.
sure.
Same thing with Bobby. Bobby was shy at one point.
I can't tell the story, but yeah, I don't know. Think everybody wants to know where he works at, but I ran into him out, and I was like, "Aren't you a wrestler?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm a wrestler." I was like,
You're lucky they didn't hit you with his finish.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times I don't know who people are, and they're like, "Hey, aren't you married to J-Mo?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
I get that all the time.
I get that a lot. Like,
I get that when
J-Mo.
when I'm all the time. People will talk to me and like they'll act like I know who they are, and you're nice guy Andy from the podcast, and I'm like,
Well, that's
and
like
they'll want to
being
hug, and they'll treat me like I'm their best friend, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I do not know who
They,
you are.
they expect you to know them. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
as a performer,
Yeah.
like she's learned over the years, if somebody
It took
comes
a
up
long
to
time
us,
for me to learn.
if somebody comes up to us and they're talking and I'm just like, chahay, and they walk away and I don't introduce you, it's because I don't know who they are.
Exactly.
And, but you can't say, I'm sorry, I don't know who you
No,
are. They're
you
like,
can't-
J-Mo,
you-
how
yeah,
you
because
doing, man?
did it-
It's so
did it
good
really
to see
feel
you. Like,
loose?
yeah, man, it's been great. How you been doing? Just
Yeah, you got to play the role
Yeah,
like you
absolutely.
know exactly who
Yeah,
they
you
are.
got to exactly
Yeah,
play
that's
like
long
you know
time to
them.
learn that
Yeah.
because we were in Florida once,
I do that
and they were
all the
like
time.
J-Mo, and I'm like, we're in Florida. I don't even know anybody here.
Like here in Lexington, like nobody. It feels like nobody knows who we are here in Lexington. But you take us to Hazard or Pikeville or Jackson or
Yeah,
even
you got a bunch of
even
them coming
another
up to
state,
us.
Florida or something. Like people will know
Well,
who
they
we are.
do, and people invest their time in you, and so they do expect
Yep.
you, even though
Yes.
they see you every single week, even though you may not see them, they see you every week, so they expect you to know who they are because
Well,
they
Yeah.
know who you are.
And as
so.
a wife, being out in the crowd and being the face of, him, essentially, they see me a lot. So they're like, Mrs. J-Mo,
Yeah.
and they want to know how he is, and they, is he coming to the show this week, or is he going to be here, or, and you're just like, I don't even have a clue. Like, but a lot of fans and especially now that I'm like photographer and I'm going other places, like, they recognize my face more than
Yeah.
I recognize. And
Oh, yeah, they'll
I'm real good
recognize
at
you, yeah.
recognizing people and remembering people.
Yeah.
I'm
once
terrible at it.
Once I know
Terrible.
you, once I can see your face,
Oh,
I'm real good
I'm
with faces.
really
but-
bad with names. Like I'm really bad with
Yeah,
names.
he is.
I'm terrible too.
he could
terrible.
put your face to your face, but he can't put your name
Well,
to your face.
it's weird because I used to be a bartender. I was a bartender for 3 years, and I knew everybody's name. I knew what they drunk. I knew how to make their drink and the little details. I knew it for. And then now that I'm a podcast host, I don't remember anybody. I have
Yes,
to
because-
that's Johnny. I was like, have we talked to that? Who is that guy? And Johnny like, that's just don't you know? And I'm like, Johnny, I'm like freaking old, man. I don't know.
I tell them all the time in WW when I'm introducing, like somebody come into work for the first time and I introduce myself, I'm like, listen, please don't be offended if I don't remember you next week. Just remind me who you are because
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
not remember.
Yes.
So unless you're
Yeah.
there like multiple times for multiple months, I'm not going to remember your name.
I've even had to
in this
sign
business we meet
autographs
so
for
many
kids.
people. We meet so many people. It's like I
So
just
many.
don't know. I just
Yeah.
can't tell.
Yeah, we meet a lot of them.
we meet a lot of people. And Johnny has a
Yep.
great memory. He'll tell me.
Except for
I'm like, Johnny, who the hell is that? He's like,
except for at the last EWA show when Tuffy was wearing a hat, I couldn't recognize Tuffy. He comes up, we're right there at the entranceway to leave.
Uh-huh.
He's like, "What's up, Johnny?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" I didn't know who it was. I didn't know it was Tuppy because he looks like a chameleon with that hat on.
He looks so young, man.
He does.
Yeah,
when he takes off that hat, you can tell instantly it's Tuppy.
Yeah.
Tuppy's the guy who everyone says has the hardest chop in Kentucky wrestling. I didn't know that was him that day.
Yeah.
And I just had him on the show.
You took that chop, didn't you, Johnny?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been taking chops from people.
I also took Tuppy.
You want to get him a chop? You want to get a chop in?
Get him right here.
Absolutely.
We got the chop coming later.
That's right. And
Careful what you wish for.
I had I've been chopped already by Tuppy Jr. If his chop can match Tuppy Jr.'s, then I'll give him
I'll
that.
tell you one person you don't want to be chopped by, and that's Bobo Brazil Jr. That man.
What about Cash Flow?
Put you on your knees. Cash Flow too, yeah. Cash Flow's one of my favorites at OVW. But yeah.
Cash Flow is the man.
He is the man.
Jack Bond also can chop too.
Oh man, we love that guy, man. He's so cool. He's so cool. Jack Bond's so cool.
Yeah, like a lot of people don't realize that Jack Bond, he's earned the right to do what he does. Like they get mad about his videos, but what they don't understand is that Jack Bond's not making fun of the business. He's doing what he wants to do, and that's basically having fun. He's having fun with
promoting himself and creating a platform.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I will be proud that we got him to do a thigh slap at the Manchester OVW show last year.
Yeah,
like he heard us saying that he's pointing at the crowd because no one had ever asked him to do a thigh slap at OVW before. And we were the ones to get him to do
Nice.
it.
Nice.
He took pictures with us. It was just a really cool guy.
And he's as tall as they say because that man
huge.
looks like he stands 7 foot tall.
He does. He's
I
a
mean,
big boy.
Technically, everybody's tall for me, but
Yeah.
he's extra tall for me.
How tall are you?
5 foot. I think I'm shorter now because I had weight loss surgery like 6 months ago, and everybody says I'm getting shorter.
How much have you lost?
87 pounds.
Congratulations.
Wow. What surgery did you have?
The gastric sleeve surgery.
The sleeve. Okay.
It was in July.
So when after my transplant, it was like we'd spent our whole marriage keeping me alive. So after my transplant, and once I started getting cleared from everything, it was like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Like we've literally spent the last 7
I want
years.
surgery now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, you know what? I want to focus on myself. So we both decided, like, this is probably not even 2 weeks after my transplant. We both decided, you know what? We're going to come the best versions of ourselves, and then that'll just make us even more of a power couple. And that's what we've done. Literally.
Because focusing on him, I wasn't focusing on myself. Mentally, physically, emotionally, nothing. So I had gotten up over 200 pounds. I think my biggest was like 230. I had started getting like blood pressure issues. I was on blood pressure medication. I had to sleep with a CPAP machine.
No way, that sucks.
I was just starting to have really like a lot of issues. And so when he got his transplant, I was like, I can focus on myself. Since he's getting healthy, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't, do that for him too. So I decided to, because I did the diets and I did. Everything that I could possibly do before, but I think, stress and all the stuff that we had to deal with, I think, it wouldn't have helped anyway.
So how did your diet change when you got the sleeve?
So my stomach is actually the size of a banana now.
Okay.
So I can only eat about like that much food at a time. And just vegetables, protein, lots of protein, lots of water. I don't drink soda. I don't eat fast food. I don't eat greasy things. I don't eat bread, potatoes, nothing. Like I just keep it
Save
clean.
a lot of money on food?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure,
don't get me wrong, eating healthy is expensive.
Oh, it is, yeah.
But, I don't have any, like my stomach doesn't hurt all the time now. My mental health is much better.
We go to the gym every day. We actually went to the gym before we came here. So
Awesome.
I mean, sometimes you got to do that.
that's right. Every day.
I got to get rid of those blood pressure medications. I don't sleep with a CPAP anymore.
That's great.
I can do
How much are you down to now?
140.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
I haven't seen this size since we got together.
Right.
10 years ago.
It's literally like, it's honestly, guys, it's
Probably
literally
a lot
like a
of stress.
reset. It's like it's like a reset for all of us. It's like literally we are fortunate enough to be able to say, you know what, let's start over. Let's start over and do this how we wanted to do it initially.
Stress by itself will make you gain weight. The cortisol and when you get stressed, you get cortisol, and it just packs it on. It just does. Yeah. I mean, when he had the surgery, and look at him now, he looks fucking great.
Yeah, he does.
I'm sure you're not as no stress now, right?
Nope, none.
Not compared to
being
what
married to
that
me.
was.
Now.
Well, compared to what it was, I'm sure it's nothing now.
It's
compared
way
to that.
better now.
Yeah.
Because now y'all can focus on yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get to be better.
We're a power couple.
Oh, wow.
We're that power couple we set
We're,
out to
we're
be.
addicted to the gym. Like, that's my drug
Hell
of choice
yeah.
now. Besides wrestling, of course. The gym's my drug of choice. I literally have to go every day.
And it helps your mental health.
It does,
Yes.
100%. Like I said, I live by the thought I'll make today better than yesterday. And, you know, I every day I wake up a treat, and I'm going to treat it that way. So
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great
That's the way you live.
That's a great attitude.
Especially because now that you're a new man
Oh yeah.
and you're no longer dealing with all that from 7 years ago.
Yep. And I can say, you know, definitely, no matter what you're going through, whether it be health issues, whether it be depression, whatever it is, just every step matters. Literally after my transplant, I was ready to run. I was ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And my surgeon told me, this was literally day 3 after my transplant. My surgeon literally told me, just slow down. I was ready to get up and go running down the hallway. So just slow down.
He was.
Literally, every step matters. Just make today better than yesterday.
Yep.
My surgeon told me that, and that's literally the reason it became
Yeah.
my motto. Because that day, literally day 3 of my transplant, it stuck with me, and I've literally said it. Every post you see me make on Facebook, it's always hashtag make today better than yesterday.
Hell yeah.
It's literally what I live by. So
That's cool.
That's what it's all about.
I mean, that's one reason why we do this podcast too. Because I mean, I have some depression problems, and doing this kind of stuff, and listening to stories from other people, and coming in here and just sometimes we just come in here and we just laugh and we just say the outrageous stuff.
Yeah.
And we joke and this.
It's
and
our
that.
therapy.
That's our therapy. I mean, it really is. You got to find something that you love to do, and
Yep.
and something that just to make yourself sane sometimes.
yeah,
Well, that's what
1000%.
photography and wrestling, walking into the wrestling world, walking into a promotion, like it's like the world gets blocked out.
It
And
does.
that's what you focus
It does.
on, and you laugh and you cry and you have such a good time, and the people that you grow bonds with them, and you just like I know I say his name on every podcast, but Josh Ashcraft is one amazing
man.
person. I would take a bullet for that man. He's been my therapist. He's been Jesse's therapist. We played Dr. Phil together.
Family.
Who
They become
is he?
family.
Josh Ashcraft. He's a commentator.
The East End villain, Josh Ashcraft?
You've seen him. You seen him at OVW when he was wrestling, and he was managing as well.
He was
Okay.
part of the Legacy of Brutality.
And now he's a commentator.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
he's been around the
I
business.
do know.
He's
Yeah.
been around
Yeah.
the business a
But I've known
very,
Josh
very
for
long time.
13 years.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I've known Josh since he very first started at OVW. He's become family. There's a lot of guys, in this business. When you've been around this business this long, it's kind of like not necessarily a secret society, but
Yeah.
like you become friends and you become
Yep.
family with those that you're close to, and you sweat together, you bleed together, you become
Camaraderie.
family.
We
Exactly.
When we go
we'd
to-
love to come up at the OVW and see it more. We just it's just a drive up there.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We were there for Icon Lee's
We love
first
OVW.
match.
We love coming up there. We went up there. We've been up there several times. We don't get up there as much as we want to, but we do love those guys. We do appreciate those guys. And we've had Jebediah Blackhawk on here.
We
Oh
also
my
had Jake
gosh.
Floyd,
Not
Jake
Jeb.
Nate,
Throw-
Snake
throw-
Williams.
Throw a little
Funny
history
story.
out there. Jebediah Blackhawk was my very first wrestling match.
Nice.
Really?
Very first wrestling match was against Jebediah Blackhawk.
I think that he talked
And-
about that.
And the funny part is because I was greener than snot, didn't know my ass from the hole in the ground, and he plants me in the middle of the ring, tells me not to get up, and he goes to the top rope. He was gonna come off the top rope
Yep.
and hit me with a big leg drop, right?
Yep.
So he goes to that top rope. I'm scared out of my mind. So what do?
Move.
I stand up.
Oh no!
And all I hear from Jebediah Blackhawk is, "You got to be effing kidding me!" And I was like, "Oh God, I'm in trouble." He comes over and grabs me. I love you to death, Jeb. I love you. He grabs me,
Stay down this
shoots
time.
me off, and lifts his boot up and hits me straight across my face. I think I had his boot print on my face for a week.
Wow.
He had
jumped
to
down on
teach you a
top of me.
lesson
He
that
jumped
day.
down on top of me. He says, "Don't you dare kick out." And of course, I went and kick it out. I could barely even say it, but I was like,
I can't breathe.
I
Hey,
was
that
not
at least
senseless, so-
protected the business
It protected the
because
business,
not
and I
only
learned a
was
lot
he doing
that
that,
day.
he was making sure that you're going to stay down.
What other big names have you wrestled?
I've wrestled a lot of names over these. Rob Conway. I'm sure you guys know Rob Conway.
I
I've
know
wrestled with
him.
Rob.
Bill Dundee.
Bill Dundee. I've wrestled
Nice.
with Bill. Ricky Morton. I've wrestled with against
That's a
Ricky
good
Morton.
one.
I
Yeah, I've
made Bill
wrestled against a
Dundee
lot.
blush once.
Oh yeah.
I did. Yeah, I was sitting at his merch table, and there was a picture of him leaning on his car. I think it was his caddy.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, I don't know, 20-something years old. And I said, did you just take this picture yesterday? And he started blushing. He said, oh, you. And then later that night, he came out, and he was like pointing at me, winking at me, singing his entrance song.
Wow, that's great.
I love Bill. He's so cute.
I met him years ago at MWA when he was down there, like doing some stuff down there years ago.
I was actually I was helping book a show. It was KPW.
Nice.
KDW, right?
Which, in Kentucky or Indiana?
Indiana.
KDW.
And we had Bill Dundee come in, and I'm putting the card together. He walks in, and of course, I had him in the main event, right? Why wouldn't I have him in the main event? It's Bill Dundee. He looks at the card. He goes, "Yeah, that won't work. I need to be on the road before intermission."
Oh yeah, I need the first match.
He wanted to go first. I was like, "I can't put you on first, buddy. We can work something out, but I can't have you go on first. My crowd's gonna leave."
He didn't want to work. No, he didn't want to work all the way. So he's like, no,
about semi
put me on the
main
first.
You've wrestled Cole Cabana.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Cabana, yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, as an agent OVW, I get the privilege of working with the best of the best. Obviously, we got Al Snow. We got, Mick Foley on a weekly basis pretty much
Yeah,
here
yeah.
lately.
Yeah.
Dude Love.
In Pike Love, Dude Love. And Pikeville, we got to work with Kevin Nash. There's so many names. Mickey James.
Nice.
If you'd have told me I had Mickey James' cell phone
She is
number in
gorgeous.
my phone 3 years
You're
ago, I'm like,
telling
you
me.
would
You
have
would've called them lying.
Yeah, you're lying. There's no way.
She's
So this
one of the reasons I knew growing up that I was into women.
Nice.
Yeah.
The most famous wrestler I have in my phone is Rhino.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I've got his number.
Good
I don't think he recognized me the last time I talked to him. Though he's like, I was like, "Can you do that?" Nah. I think he was kind of grumpy, but
No, he was dealing with all of the people that come up to him.
Oh
and
yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
He's like, oh
I
god,
mean, of course.
these guys are just
That's why I
like
don't.
them.
That's why I don't walk up to people sometimes. A lot of people just swarm them in, and I don't get to.
Chris Blade said, "What's up?"
Kind of leave those guys alone.
did?
Chris
Blade,
Oh, what's up, Chris?
Yeah.
aka referee Chris Blade from EWA,
Yep.
Outlaw Nation.
So, but the crazy part is, like, I've never been one of those guys that would, like, count my matches and stuff. Like, people, like, you hear people, I'm having my 500 match this week. Like, I couldn't tell you. I've forgotten more matches than I could even
You'll
tell you
restart
about.
now.
Like,
You can restart
I'm
counting now.
restarting anyway. So, yeah. So, like, I never was one of those to count all that. So, I have a hard time even remember. Like, she brought up Colt Cabana, and I just slipped my mind. But, yeah, there's so many great people I've worked with over the years, and I've gotten the privilege of learning from the best of the best. So, I've gotten extremely lucky.
Oh yeah.
Zach.
If you told
Who,
me,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
if you told me 10 years ago that I would be hanging out with the people that I hang out with in wrestling,
Yeah.
that I watched on TV, we went to WrestleMania when it was in Louisiana, and ODB is like my idol in wrestling. I grew
Yeah.
up watching her. I wasn't a girly girl.
oh
I didn't
yeah,
wear
from
dresses.
TNA.
I didn't wear pink.
She's awesome.
I was the tomboy, and so like growing up, I got bullied for that. So
Nothing wrong with that,
watching
being the
her,
tomboy.
it made me feel comfortable with who I was because she was the tomboy. She was the one that just did give no fucks. Like
Yeah.
she was who she was, and that was it. And I love that about her. And so she was my idol. And so like we walked into this little bar off Bourbon Street, and there she was. With Gail Kim,
Chavo
Guerrero, and there was somebody else with him. And I had a little quick courage in me, and I walked up to her and I told her she was my idol.
I love you.
And I usually don't do that. I try to give them their space, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't like walking.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
I'm with a wrestler.
Well,
and
there's
I
certain
know-
people. If I saw, I would
know
walk
how
up to
to,
them.
but I had a little bit of liquid courage in me, and I was feeling pretty good, and I was just like, I'm going to do it. This is my one chance in life. And so she was real cool, She was like, you want to take a shot? And I was like, yeah, I want to take a shot.
Hell yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I got to take a shot with her, and my husband's standing back there with Chavo Guerrero just, shooting the breeze.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the moments I'll never forget in life. And then we just recently, when we were in Pikeville, JBL, the Boogeyman, like,
Nice.
I cannot, I got to meet Enzo. He's one of my absolute
Hey, we've had him on
favorites.
here.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Had him-
God.
Enzo's been on our show.
He's one of my absolute favorites. I used to walk around the house quoting him.
The funny part about that story is, so obviously as an agent, obviously
Yeah.
she's my wife, so she's privy to some stuff,
Yeah.
and so she gets to meet Mick Foley, she gets to meet JBL.
Yep.
Yeah.
She absolutely marked out for Enzo.
I did.
Like she lost her name. He was like, "Yeah, I'll take a picture with you. Come here, let's take a picture together." And he's like, "You know, what's your name?" And she's like, like she totally marked out for Enzo. It was great. It was so funny.
In New Orleans as well. Matt Cardona. Gosh.
Are y'all going to Vegas?
That man.
We got to see him win the NWA title.
Yeah,
in
that
person.
man.
We went to Rumble.
Ooh,
Me and
if
Aaron
I wasn't
Grotto
married
went to
to
Rumble.
Jesse,
Shout out to Aaron Grotto.
I'd be
That's
going
That's
right.
who you
The
need to get
main
on your
Aaron.
show. You need to get Aaron Grotto on your show.
Yeah.
Yes,
you need
we
to get Aaron
definitely been
Grotto.
working on that.
Yeah.
Aaron, the referee, Aaron?
Yep.
Yes.
Last time we saw Aaron was at New South Wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all need to
People,
get Aaron.
good
here.
man.
people think that Louisville's like 1,000 miles away. It's like only like an hour, dude. Come on.
Well, he actually lives on the other side of Indy now, so he has moved a little bit away.
Yeah.
But Aaron Grotto, this is your call out shot, brother. I need to
Right,
get you
yeah.
down here to the Nice Guy Andy
Yep,
podcast.
because we've had Jake Cloyd on here. He was the very first OVW guy that we had
Oh,
inside
right.
the studio.
Oh, wow.
That's back in 2022.
Well, in that case, you need to get Daniel Spencer on here. Let's give a
Yes.
shout out to Daniel Spencer.
Shout out to
Yes.
Daniel
AKA
Spencer. because
Mr.
he was
Delicious.
taking over.
Hey,
Delicious.
you got the inside. Hey, anybody you want to send down here, send them our way because
Yeah, because we'd love to get more OVW people in
We've
here.
been trying to get more OVW guys.
Now
in.
that I brought him up, let me give a little shout out to Daniel. So I
Mr.
obviously
Delicious.
throughout my story, going through my story there, obviously I wasn't able to get into full detail about everything, but I got to give a huge shout out to Daniel Spencer. So I've been friends with Daniel for a long time, and I actually kind of got Daniel back into the business. He had been around and trained at OVW and stuff, and then he kind of went away from it, and then I actually did this benefit show. This was probably like 2017, 18, I can't remember now, when we did that benefit show for Brandon
Gracie.
Abels and that girl Gracie. Yeah, for
Gracie,
Gracie. This girl needed a wheelchair, and we did this benefit show for her. And that's actually kind of how I first interacted with Daniel in the wrestling business. And he reffed my match that night. And I'm like, dude, you're great. Like, you're a great ref. I'd have you rest any match I'm in. And so literally I called this guy up, and I started having, everywhere I was booked, I was taking him with me.
Heck yeah.
and having him ref my matches. And then I was in you guys familiar with Grindhouse Wrestling?
Yep.
Yes.
So
They have a
We
picture
were up
behind
there.
you of
Oh, we
Birdo
love
and
those
Clayton.
Shout out
guys.
to Two Tough
We were-
Tony and Grindhouse.
Hell yeah, Two
So
Tough
the very
Tony.
first
We're going on
Grindhouse
the
class.
23rd, I
So the
think.
very first Grindhouse class, I actually helped train with those guys.
Nice.
And I was working at Grindhouse and stuff. And so I brought Daniel into Grindhouse. And of course, with connections with Tough and with Rudy, and we were able to actually getting back in here. That's how he initially came back to OVW, and then Daniel actually put a good word in for me to get me back to OVW. Back when I started getting sick, when I was still wrestling, as back on the roster as wrestling
Nice.
again. And then obviously once I started getting sick and stuff, and then I found out I wasn't going to be able to wrestle, he played a huge part in me being able to have my conversations with Al Snow. So will always be grateful for Daniel Spencer for that.
Shout out to
That's
Daniel
what I'm
Spencer.
talking about. Shout out to Daniel
I'd
Spencer.
love to have him on the podcast.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the guys that we've been working
Any-
on getting in here.
Sometimes if you want to bring somebody, come and
I'll get
talk
him
to
on your podcast. He loves me more.
Yeah, she
Oh,
loves
yeah.
him more. So
Heck
We'd
yeah.
love to have some of those guys. We'd love to
Yeah,
have those
because
guys.
we've been wanting to have OVW talent in here for a while. Because we've had Jebediah Blackhawk, Snake Williams Jr. We tried to get Gerard Kripke, but he was unable to come. But we had Maximo Suave, Amazing Maria.
Yep.
My wife.
Maximo still got one of the
Maria's
greatest
one of the
stories.
agents, of course.
That's my
The one
wife.
guy that wrestled with Tony Evans, that's Tony Evans'
Jay
bodyguard.
De Niro.
Jay
Yep,
De
we've
Niro.
had him
Yeah,
as
Jay?
well.
We had Jay down here.
Okay.
Yes.
How'd you get him to talk for 2 hours?
I know, right?
I'm
He's
with
such
that
a-
guy
he's
every
so
week.
good.
I can't get him to
He
say
acted
3
like
words.
such a millionaire.
He's so cool, man.
Like,
He's
Jay,
cool.
how was your week?
Jay was
Hey,
like,
Jay, what's the weather like outside? Like, I can't get the guy to talk for
the
nothing.
funny thing is that Jay was like, I'm the main event. I'm cool.
Yeah,
That's exactly how he
that
acted.
sounds spot on.
That's
yeah,
spot
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, it
for
was
sure.
great. It was great. He had, I think he said here. I
Yep,
think.
he sit right there, and Jebediah sit right here.
Yeah.
Jebediah's just like, oh damn, he can talk.
Trust me, we're shocked. He never
Jebediah's
talks.
been on here on the show 3 or 4 times. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, he likes it. He
And
likes
we've
Oh,
even had
Jeb, I love
Jebediah
Jeb.
and
I love
Snake Williams
that
on
guy.
video.
it. Yeah. We had a lot of fun with those guys.
Yeah, we definitely would like to have more
I'd love to
OVW
get
people in here.
freaking Jack Vaughn down here or somebody like that.
You definitely gotta have Jack Vaughn here just to speculate of someone of his size sitting inside one of these chairs. That would be a sight for sore eyes because we do know him by his original gimmick that he was going by before he was Jack Vaughn.
Okay, all right. Well,
Muldoon.
I'll see if I can have some conversations with him. See if I
Yeah,
can't
that'd
make
be
that happen.
awesome. That'd be
There's a
crazy.
man.
I like to see him do the thigh slap and the.
I'm sure he will.
Nice Guy
I'm
Andy
sure he'll do it for you.
podcast.
If we can get him here, I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
Plus, I love his videos. I see a lot of people on the internet want to hate, and I'm like, Why does it bother
I think they're
y'all
great.
so
I think they're great.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
laugh
Videos are
so
great.
hard every time I see them. I laugh so
Me
hard.
too.
Some of them are just so relatable.
It's the haters that pay you though on the
Yeah.
internet.
They're
It is.
so.
It's the
They're
haters
so
that pay you.
relatable though. They're so relatable though. They're so
Exactly.
relatable.
Yeah.
Being around this business for as long as I have, and I sit there, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so great. That's some of the
Me
stuff.
and, me, and
spot
me and Johnny,
Spot on.
you said we talked about Terry England. Terry England got me and Johnny to get in the ring and do a match together, and we don't know what the hell we were doing. You know,
Right.
We got,
I mean,
we
we
got
at least got
trained
the
like
fans
we got trained for
entertained.
like 3 hours, and then we got in there.
Oh,
and-
jeez.
And then
Yeah.
That
it's
sounds
on-
like a train wreck.
It's on our Facebook page and our YouTube, and
I think I saw
so
a
many
clip
people
of
are
that.
talking so much shit about us, and I'm like, please keep talking shit about us because
Right.
you're paying the bills,
Right.
brother. You're paying the bills because we're
Get those
monetized.
views,
You know,
yes.
we're monetizing. We
Yeah.
need the views. We need to talk.
Right.
Please
Yeah.
talk
But
more.
also-
I'll get on there and I'll say, I'm the best wrestler ever, and they're like, they'll still be shitting on me.
But also, it may have been a train wreck, but did its job.
Yeah.
It got the fans entertained.
Yeah, we had a good time.
My greatest
Our fans
achievement is
had a good
that
time.
we had the plunger spot. Someone actually screams, "Oh God, not the plunger!" when Andy pulls it out. My favorite thing is watching as I jab the plunger into Andy's face, and you can hear the crowd getting excited about it because that was the hope spot.
We had a whole storyline. You know,
Yeah.
Terry was joking with me, and he's like, "I'm gonna get you and Johnny in the ring," and he was joking, and I thought, "I got you booked. I got you booked." He was messing with me.
Yep.
And I took him serious, so I told Johnny, I'm like, "He's got us booked, man." We're gonna. So we started the whole storyline.
Yep,
where,
podcast.
yeah,
brawl.
we had Icon Lee's our champion. We had the old champion come in and attack him, and they had a fight out in the
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
they had a fight out in the parking lot.
Yep.
And then I ended up throwing Johnny into the van.
And that's Tracy. That's what got the cops called on us.
Wow.
We got the cops.
That was
called.
great.
And then me and Johnny had a match in my front yard in the rain.
Yep.
Which is on YouTube. It's really good.
We chose the rain. I was like, "Fuck it, it's raining. We're gonna film this."
It's funny you said caught the cops calls. She was reading a meme to me as we were driving up here about everything you've done in the wrestling business on indie wrestling. And one of them was get the
Have you ever got the
have to have
cops
cops
called
called
in?
onto your
Yeah.
wrestling show, or ever wrestled with Ricky Morton. I was like, oh my gosh, these lists is I'm on every one of these.
Yeah.
I think the only one I didn't do was get into a physical altercation with a fan.
Yeah.
I've never hit a fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
There's no
you
need
get
to
to a
do
physical
that.
confrontation with fans.
The crazy part is something, and she could contest to this, something I've never done in 20 years. I never get heat as far as putting somebody down. I've never cut a promo and told one fan in the audience that they're stupid or they're ugly or they're fat. To me, that's cheap heat. You
Yeah,
can
it
call
is.
it. You could smack anybody, and they're gonna want to get mad at you and scream back at you. I've never once done it. In 20 years, when I'm the heel, I put the heat on myself.
Yep.
And I'll get you to hate me just because you want to hate me, not because I want to talk bad about you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And one of my pet peeves of wrestling today is when I see wrestlers that don't want to do what a heel's supposed to do.
all right,
Get heat on themselves.
Right.
I can't tell you how many wrestlers I've been to so far in the last 4 years where I've not seen a wrestler get scared to even get the fans to be pissed off at them. I'm like, why ain't you interacting with the fans? You got to get them mad at you.
it's a lost art for sure. It's a lost art for
Exactly.
sure. There's some guys out there that are extremely good at it. Like I'll drop a name that I think is probably one of the best heels when he's a heel, and that's the legendary Larry D.
Yep.
Not sure, guys, if he's a friend of the podcast or not, but I'll give him a shout out all day
We've
long.
been to his
And-
bar brawls.
And the thing is like when Larry's a heel, when Larry comes to that curtain, you know he's a heel. He don't have to say a word. You know he's a heel, and you know he's gonna go in there, and you know he's gonna fuck shit up.
Exactly.
He's one of the best at it.
Especially when he has his wife with him, because when they were in New South being heels,
We don't have any
They
beef with
make the fans
Larry. I don't
pissed
know
at
how
him.
he feels about us, but we don't have any beef with Larry. I'd love to have Larry on the show. Actually, we had his wife on the show, and she
was awesome.
She had a great time.
Let's make it happen, Larry. Come on, brother. Get
Yeah.
down here and get on the
Especially
NiceGuy
because-
podcast.
If you can, come with him and have him on here.
Okay.
Because I'd love to have him and Max go.
oh, look at this. Bob Blake says, King of cheap heat with an arrow pointing towards himself.
Here's our little skit we did.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was to build up.
This
to,
ain't the whole
June
video.
5th.
This ain't the whole video though, is it?
That
It
power
should
walk,
be.
though.
Right.
That power walk says it all.
Yep, because I'm supposed to be the one pissed off because he went and he crossed the line. He
I got a
took my mom on a date.
Superfly Johnny Lee shirt on. That's his.
Yeah, we had to make it.
I love
make
the
it look
pretending like you're working, though. I do that every day. at work. I know that look.
He crossed the line.
You took his mom on a date.
Yep. After he's took away all my gimmick.
That's almost as good as Steve marrying Al's mom.
Right?
I said, you know what your mom's favorite number is? 69. Got him back.
And then he hits me with a bat.
Hold this door for me. Yeah. I got something for you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then we go out
Now
to the
with
yard.
bat.
That sells it right there.
Oh, that was it. Put a little realism in there. A little wet grass. That is great.
You wore a white shirt.
Yep.
Oh, we wanted to get it muddy.
Yeah, that was a prop shirt that we want to get dirty and everything.
In the rain, I love it.
My favorite thing is when I hit the van because I told him to throw me into the van full force. And also, here's my favorite part coming up when he chokes me with the wire around my throat.
No.
Yeah. We working it, brother.
This is the first time we ever done anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's doing its job entertaining the people, too. And I'm being the human piano right now. My favorite things is when I get thrown to the band. Because it happened the first time when we
Looks like you're
start
spanking
this.
him with that bat.
Yep. They drags me off.
I could definitely tell you guys are having fun, though. This is good.
Yep.
Oh, you've had a couple run-ins with the bat.
Yeah.
And then he drags me all the way over here to hit me with a middle post.
You got your butt whooped.
Yep. Because he caught me with a bat. I'm supposed to be babyface, so he's the heel beating the hell out of me. And then he didn't rip. Oh, that's my favorite part. Because I really did hit the van on purpose. Before we filmed this part, I ran myself into the van. I wanted it to be the one that busted me open. But this is what does it. The sign. It was supposed to happen from the band, Andy.
The best part's the plumber's crack. That's the best part.
Yes. We made sure that the whole thing was to be funny.
That is great.
And then he beats the hell out of
I
me.
bet y'all got all kinds of hate for this.
Oh, we did. And then we get hate for the match. But here's the thing. With the match, we did do a lot of good things that were planned out.
Yeah.
We had the spots inside the corner where he's chopping me, where I get choked on the rope. And I ad-libbed some moves, like when I hit Andy with the double knees.
Does he hit you with the van?
No, he's
I thought he was going
That'd
to.
be great if it.
It would have been funny.
Oh, jeez. Oh, wow.
But like, my favorite thing about the match is that I hit him with double knees. He takes it the match that I went into business for myself. No,
There was
I
Enzo.
ad-libbed.
Enzo was on the show.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Yep.
Yeah, Enzo's one of my
And he
favorites.
freestyled about living inside vaginas.
He did. Yeah. He actually
And
did.
Tony Presley, you sit right where you are. It's like,
Tony's a preacher, and it's like
and we do things like this.
Back in town. I'm going crazy. I need the cheese. I need.
There's Chris Blade.
Yeah, it's what you get.
You got beat up on Mickey now. Whip that punch a little bit there.
Also,
Oh, yeah.
I would have preferred that he actually did something instead of what he did. Because if you're going to do it, at least make it closer where you look like you're knocking someone down.
That's what I said. He whiffed the punch a little bit, but that's
Yep.
all right.
And here's our guy, Ricky DeRosa.
Uh-oh.
He's actually small.
he's so tiny. I want him to be a wrestler, but he
Hey, the wrestlers love him.
Was that a shoot delivery driver?
Yep,
Oh, that
it
is
is.
great. Oh, that is great.
He actually looked at Andy
I want
like,
to do that now.
oh, let's show them the dumpster one because I came up with this idea. We found a dumpster outside empty. I was like, fuck it, let's film it. This is where I've been living after he took my gimmick.
Time for a podcast, man. Come on. This is your new house now?
After you took all my money.
So
I actually threw a guy in a dumpster once in a match.
He
Nice.
did, and he pinned him in the middle of the
so the
highway.
Nice.
the whole story was that I thought he called the police on me and I got arrested, and then
No, the story was that
So
you
I-
thought that I locked Adrian out
yeah.
and I let him inside the studio, and then I called the police on you.
So then then I got my lawyer to come by and take his gimmick away
And guess
from
who
him.
it's? Guess what the name was?
What?
Sterling Funwell.
Oh wow.
So he took his gimmick
classic
away
gimmick.
from me. Took his sparkly jacket and everything. And I took all his money and put him in the dumpster.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He even took my hat.
Yeah.
Left me with a damn orange dress shirt. I
It's
look
like
like
something Aaron would wear.
Right?
He loves all them weird.
Aaron's awesome.
The crazy part is, just looking at you guys, I would think it would be the opposite. I think you would be the heel.
I
You'd
was
be
the
the
heel.
heel. You'd be the
Yeah,
heel.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
I mean, I would be the heel, but for
He's
that
got- he's
storyline,
got-
he had to be the
and
heel.
he's got the baby face, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have a baby face.
They always put me as the heel. I don't know why.
Actually, you put yourself as a heel because whenever you're at the shows and Stan Sears out there, you're like, I'm going to be heel.
Yeah, it's
And
fun to
I'm
be
thinking,
heel.
Andy,
It's fun to be heel because I don't look like a
mean,
heel. I
can't say
guess.
much. I'm a heel wife for life.
Yeah.
so
that's right.
She loves watching me be a
love
badass.
Hey, I like being heel because I got this gimmick called Superfly John Lee. And I got this brother who's named Bandito. He's a heel.
Yeah.
He can't tell me otherwise. He wears a dragon mask. Calls himself El Dragon de Credenza. And I've told him to come and have a sit down with me, and he won't do it.
Oh, wow.
So I got this moment to tell him, Bandito, if you're a man, you'll come have a sit down with me in the next 2 weeks. And we'll sell our differences right here on the podcast.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Because right there is his original mask that he's wearing right there inside the video.
Gotcha.
It looks like a mask that is very familiar, but now he wears a brand new mask. It looks like a dragon. I'm going to kick his ass.
No.
And it unmask him because only cowards wear masks.
Speaking of BWA, have y'all had Adrian on here yet?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we
Adrian's
have.
been on
We've
there.
even had
Okay.
Adrian have his own show. So
Adrian-
far, it's only at 2
Adrian used to be
episodes.
he used to be our champion.
Okay.
Zodiac.
Very first.
Zodiac was our first champion. He had the Monster Head belt, and then he
Zodiac.
lost it to Adrian.
I love Zodi.
And then Adrian
He's a
lost
good
it to Matt
Matt Atreya.
Matt Atreya. Matt
Who
Atreya
held
was,
it for only once.
Not mad at her.
he was
There's a lot of guys out there that say, you know, the moniker as far as the best unsigned talent. I've heard that said a lot. There is a couple out there that,
Yep.
that does stand true for him. Aaron Williams being one of them.
Hell yeah.
And I would put Zodi right up there.
Me
I
too.
think Zodi's one of the best big men
I love
Yeah.
that.
that Kentucky's ever seen, I think. And I definitely think he's definitely underappreciated and should have definitely made it a lot further.
We had
Exactly.
got a bunch of we had a couple belts made. That belt right there I had made just to promote the podcast, you know. Just
And
to-
now it's his belt.
And Tony Presley was here, a New South
New
Wrestling.
South.
He was like, "We're gonna put that. We'll put that belt on somebody." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So they had an over the top rope battle royal, like
Eight
and-
men.
8 men, and then Zodi ended up with the belt, and he took it everywhere and
He defended it 26 times across different states.
When you would talk about somebody that can live the gimmick
Uh-huh.
and you believe everything he's
Yep.
doing, Zodi's definitely
Yeah.
right
And he's
up on
also
that
got
list.
the fire.
And then he dropped it to Adrian Alexander for a while, and then
He
Adrian
didn't
dropped
drop
it
it, Andy.
to Matt.
He got beat fair and square.
Yeah, he Adrian dropped it to Matt Atreya for like 3 months. Matt got hurt, and then he dropped it back to Adrian,
Yeah.
and then Adrian had a match with Icon, and
Icon
ended
Lee-
up being a champ.
Hey, Icon Lee's a smart man. You know what he did?
What do you
He
do?
told him, accept the challenge of anywhere, at any time, anywhere goes. Guess what? Adrian made biggest mistake of his life. He said,
He actually-
hell yeah, brother, we'll fight anywhere. Well, guess what Icon Lee did?
He
He
showed
comes
up.
to the show, he whoops his ass, goes inside the ring, tells the referee, get your ass out there. 1, 2, 3. New champion.
Hey.
They actually had a match in the hallway here too.
Oh,
I
nice.
remember that
Nice.
too,
yeah, it was
Yeah, early on in my career, I was actually scared shitless of Zodi.
Oh, man.
I would have never admitted that to his face, but I was definitely
Yeah,
scared
Hey,
of him.
his
My
son was
son-
scared of him.
Yeah.
We used to take him to my oldest son. He's 24 now, and I used to take him as a kid, and he was so scared of Zodiac.
Yeah.
He was scared of Undertaker too.
When I was training, we wrestled for a company called CCW in Louisville. They were coming out of Portland. A lot of guys from the OVW originals had come over there. And Marcus, you guys familiar with Marcus?
Yep.
He passed away a couple years ago, but he was always around
R.I.P.
OVW.
to Marcus.
Yes, definitely. But Zodi would come in there, and this is when we were all still training. So we were wrestling for CCW once a month, but we were still training to learn how to wrestle. And I wouldn't have stepped 3 feet in the ring with that man.
Zodiac
He wrestles at Appalachian Mountain Wrestling a lot now.
Yeah.
Also, he's a gear maker now.
Yeah, he is. He is.
And his gear is top notch.
Yes.
Have
But
you,
absolutely
have you watched
nothing
any of
but
their
respect
show?
for Zodi.
Have you watched any of their wrestling? Appalachian Mountain Wrestling.
I have not. I have not caught any of that.
They got some.
Oh,
really
you
good
would
stuff
like
going.
it.
Would I?
You gotta check them
It's
out on
old
YouTube.
school
They're
style.
really good stuff.
I like old school.
I
So
would love to get
Cal
down there
Magger,
and
Stan
photographer.
Sierra, Cal
If they're
Magger,
listening, you know.
oh, Stan.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Stan's
Kyle
good
Magger.
too.
Yeah.
Cal
Why
Magger.
don't you reach out
Yeah.
to her for
Cal as
photography?
well, yeah.
Yep. Golden Ages Photos LLC on Facebook, Tresia, Leighann, Allen, or Allen's One Touch Sports. That's my.
I'll even put Kyle Maggard in touch with you.
Yeah.
I'll tell him to reach out.
Well, my family's from the Appalachians.
We'd love to go watch those guys
so.
wrestle down there. They're so great to us. They invite us to come in, and I do a lot of stuff. I video a lot of their stuff, and we post a lot of their stuff.
And of course, I think Aaron Rose works for them too, don't he?
Yep.
Yeah,
There was that-
Aaron's
Aaron
awesome.
is top notch as a ring
Aaron-
announcer.
They
Aaron's a
actually
good guy,
just
too.
they actually
nice
just
guy.
acquired New South Wrestling, their video library and their
Yep.
and their and the
We
promotion.
got to
I
meet.
think.
This is one of my proudest things. We met Booker T at New
wow.
South.
Nice.
I went up to him
he
because
did come in. That's right.
Because I got the
remember.
confidence
Nice.
that the podcast don't got. I went up to him. I said, "Hey, any chance that we could get you on the podcast?" He said, "Yeah, man. I'll go up there. I want them to come over there with me and reach out to him." Didn't happen.
You guys had Marty Clay up there at OVW a couple times, haven't you?
No, he hasn't been up there.
I
yet.
would
No.
love to see him.
I do like Marty is a
step
good
there.
guy.
Marty
You
is-
I
had
would like
Chris Crow.
Yep, we had Chris up there
Yep.
not too long
And
ago.
Chris Crow's
came
got
out.
a hell of a spear.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does.
Chris is awesome. He's well, I guess he's the EWA Heritage Champion.
Heritage
now.
champion. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know who else I absolutely love? Berto.
Berto is
Yes,
incredible.
Berto is the
You want to
man.
talk about a good human being?
OVW
oh my
guy,
gosh.
too, right?
Oh my
Absolutely, he's an
gosh.
OVW guy.
We
yeah.
brought him
So-
on to here, and he told us inspirational story as well.
Oh my gosh.
You being an agent, who do you like that you're like that guy hasn't got his his dues yet? Like he's going to come up. Like who you got your eye on saying that we should watch that guy like in the local area wrestling?
You would put me on the spot.
I know, right?
He's got to play
I
favorites
mean, you might have a
now.
couple. You might have 2 or 3 of them. Mention everybody that you want to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But there's a couple guys that do great business for us that I would shout out for any day of the week. Tony Evans being one of them.
Yeah, Tony Evans is great.
Tony Evans is great. He's a great guy, great worker.
He's pretty good friends with Larry too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jake Lawless. Jake Lawless is a
Yeah.
good guy. These guys, they do great business for us.
Yeah.
They're not, they're not, the OVW champions and the top, but they could very well be anytime we wanted them to.
Love
They're
love
definitely
the
that
whole
level.
when Dallas at the Manchester slammed Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be a good sport to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's guys that, for me, I did like, Cal Hero. Like Cal
Yeah.
Hero definitely is going to be.
love that
She
kid.
loves Cal, but I mean, he's definitely going to be probably the next big thing that comes out of OVW. I
Yeah.
believe 100%. Like he's just got it. Like, and there's so many things that that guys. You want to talk about, the unseen stuff, the behind the scenes stuff. He's one of the first guys to show up to training every week. He's one of the last ones to leave. He puts in a lot of hard work. There's people that want to talk about who his dad is and who his dad knows and stuff. If that was the case, he wouldn't be here.
But
He
Exactly.
wouldn't be
he's
here trying to
earning
do it the
his-
right way,
yeah,
trying to
he's
train,
earning his
trying to do the right
stripes,
things.
that's for sure.
And he's definitely earning everything he's
Everything,
getting.
yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
1000%.
Exactly. And a lot of people need to understand that they're willing to learn. Then you need to start paying attention to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's several guys, and even some of our younger talent, like because I know how they were trained, I know what they could do. I've given a shout out to them on a couple other podcasts, but we have Will and Troy, who are just coming fresh out of our training class. These guys, they They know the right way. They learn the right way. They act the right way. And I would put them up against anybody across the state of Kentucky.
I would definitely
Damn
watch
straight.
Eric Surge and Anthony Totelli too.
Yes.
I think Anthony could go very far everywhere. I've seen him on other places. I actually worked with him at Wrestling Theology Fellowship in Indiana. And then Eric Surge is where I met him as well. But they've eventually reached out to you.
Yeah. So I've known Anthony for a long time.
Yeah.
I've wrestled with Anthony
Yeah.
probably about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, somewhere around there, early on in his career. And but we had lost touch. You know, he's a little bit further north than I am. We had lost touch. And then she had ran into him at that WTF show that she did. Once again, she was booked on a show I wasn't. And she
Shout
had ran
out
into
to
him.
Mortimer Blankenship, by the way, because he actually got me that booking.
Yeah, more.
And
Mortimer,
she
yeah.
got home that night. She's like, "You gotta look this guy up. I think he's got something you guys could use at OVW. He's got a nice look. He's got a nice ring presence." And I tell you, in all the years we've been married, my wife came to me and said, "Hey, you should look at this guy." Once. This was it. This is literally the first time she had ever told me, "Hey, you need to try to bring this guy into OVW." And she will put over anybody. Like, if you're good to her, she's good to you. She'll put over anybody. But this
But
is the
I try
first
not
time.
to do that. I try not to. I'm not at the age, and I'm not the wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, but I just.
So she
there's
tries to
something
not
about
cross
him.
that line as far as, hey, you need to do this, you need that, because, you know, I wouldn't listen anyway. But
Yeah.
but yeah, she was like, hey, you really should look at this Anthony guy. I'm like, I know Anthony. I've wrestled with Anthony before. And I looked him up, and sure enough, he looked 10 times better than he did when I saw him, you know, several years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And sure enough, we brought him in, and he's been great.
Heck
Been great.
yeah.
One of the guys that definitely does anything we ask him to do. Big shout out. If you're a promoter, definitely reach out. I'm sure we can
You guys
probably
need to
get
get
you
him
on.
on this.
Oh, I'd love to. You guys
Let
got
him know it.
Yeah,
Bring
no,
him
I
on here.
will. Yeah,
Please let us
Reach
know,
out
you
to
know.
us when you do.
There's a lot of
we'll
people-
have it on.
There's a lot of people up you guys' way that we don't know about. We you know we mess with the EWA and Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. We mess with a lot of Kentucky guys, but there's a lot of talent up there in Paradigm and the Grindhouse and
Yep.
OVW and those guys that you guys know Supreme.
And
Like,
we want to
and-
be the platform that.
Oh, yeah, I can
we'd
get
love to
you
bring a
guys
lot of those guys in if they
yeah,
want to
for
travel down
sure.
here. We'd love to have them, and you're welcome to come with
Right,
them.
and I definitely thank you. I appreciate that. And I will go ahead and say this because I said this to Adrian before he did anything with the kid.
Yeah.
And I want to give a huge shout out to this kid because he's done the right things. He's trained the right way. I know who trained him because he trained at Grindhouse. He trained under Ronnie Roberts. Big shout out to Ronnie Roberts.
Yeah.
And of course, Tough Tony.
We'd love to have him come over.
Ethan Heyer.
Yes.
I know you guys
We've
talked
had
about
on
him.
here
I know
too.
you guys had him on here.
He's
I
been
know
on
you've
there
seen me
3 or 4
ED.
times.
But let me just say, this kid literally will call you and say, hey, can I jump in the car and ride with you to this show?
Yes.
Like, literally, he does the right
That's
things. He
right.
says the right things. He does the right business. If there's anybody that I could say, like, that deserves an opportunity
It's
to make it in this business, it's going to be Ethan Heyer. This kid is doing the right
We
things.
saw him the first time at OVW show in Lexington at the courtesy Pontiac or whatever it is over there, Nissan or whatever.
Yep.
And we seen him there, and we were like, "Man, that's awesome!" And then
Man,
he
I'll
just
tell
like
you what.
he just
Like,
showed
if
up
I could
everywhere.
if I could put that kid's heart and that kid's drive in anybody else's body, give me a 6'9", 220 pound, solid muscle, jacked up guy with his heart and his attitude, he'd be main event wrestling.
Those
Exactly.
small guys are so valuable too that can go like him because he makes the other guys look so much bigger. And those guys are so valuable. Like the little guy that comes here and does our Mickey Mouse stuff with us.
Yep.
I was like, you need to
Half
train.
shot.
Right.
You need to train because I put him on a video and 5 different promotions. Like, I need that guy come down here. I got this 7-foot tall guy that needs to choke slam a freaking little bitty guy. I mean, those, and I was like, you need to train. And, and he shows up sometimes and doesn't show up some more times.
Me and Jane had this.
But yeah, those
joke
small guys are
about-
valuable.
even higher in a fun-loving way.
Yeah.
We call him the 7-foot giant. When Joe Mack chokeslammed him, I was screaming, how did Joe Mack pick up that 7-foot giant, 300-pound man?
You know, they say, well, you can't teach like Enzo.
You can't.
used to say you
Yeah,
can't teach a
that.
7 foot.
You can't teach that.
You can't teach
And even
5
higher
foot either.
is-
Well, I could tell
How
you.
You
large
can't
is the
teach
line?
5 foot either.
And I could even tell you just a story that literally just happened this last month. This just happened just a couple weeks ago at EWA.
Yeah.
EWA, sorry. So EWA. So Ethan Heyer.
Yep.
This kid's car broke down.
Yep.
He lives in Crestwood, Kentucky. It's about 45 minutes from my house. He said, hey, J-Mo, I know y'all are going up to the show. Can I ride with you? My car's down. And I said, I have no problem with you riding with these things, but I can't drive to Crestwood to pick you up. We won't make it on time. It's an hour and 47 minutes from my house. If I drive to Crestwood first, we're not going to make bell time. If the only way you can ride with me is if you can make it to Indiana. This kid found a ride to Indiana, just so he could make it to EWA on just a couple weeks ago, last Friday, two Fridays ago. Yeah. So this kid,
remember that
he definitely wants it. He definitely wants it.
He posted onto his Facebook that his car had troubles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
I can tell you, being around this business as long as I have, the number one cause for car trouble in America is a wrestling show.
Exactly.
And I can tell you as well.
Yeah.
A lot of guys.
Tell you how many times I've heard that excuse over the years.
We've had the same things too. Like we'd be like, we're going to go to the show, and then like I'll look at my car and my freaking engine lights on. I'm like, Johnny, we can't go to the show.
So we had to use the Hulk.
I can't tell you how many flat tires people have 2 hours before show.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
We had Mickey Knuckles.
Yep.
We had her, and she had
she had to
cancel because of a flat tire too.
But let me present it real quick though, because I want to say something. Because you had asked me,
say anything you want.
You asked me about guys. I think because it's as an agent, it's hard to just single people out because our job is to make sure that we're doing the best for the business. We're doing the best for everyone involved. Exactly. We try to do good business for everybody. So I don't want to leave anybody out. I would list our entire roster and say, hey, these guys deserve an opportunity because there is a lot of hard work that goes in. So I don't want anybody feeling like, hey, why is he mentioning this guy and this guy and this guy? Because I do want what's best for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also,
We're fans of ZDP and those guys though too.
Oh, ZDP, yeah.
Well, see, that's the
ZDP.
thing. That's the thing. Like with Zach, he trained at Grindhouse, and I was there at the beginning when he started training, and he has came leaps and bounds.
Yes,
leaps and bounds from where he started to where he is now.
Super Z thing is great.
Over as crazy. He's like amazing. Like I was so proud of him when he ended up winning the Rush Division title. Like literally, I'm not gonna lie, I was in tears. Because I've watched this kid take his first bump. I've watched this kid work his way through. I mean, he became the very first ever Grindhouse champion. Nice. He was student number one. Like he was the very first one. And so I've watched this kid grow up, and I've watched him become not only a better wrestler, but I've watched him become a man.
He's such a cool guy.
When I met ZDP, he was a kid.
Yep.
And he's become a man in front of my eyes.
And he's in a movie coming out, right?
He is. He is. Yes, he is.
What's the movie's name that's coming out?
Was it Queen of the Ring?
Queen of the Ring.
Queen of the Ring.
Yes.
Is it out already? It's out.
It is not out
yet.
yet.
No, it's not.
It comes out
coming.
March. Yeah, it comes out March, like the first week of March, I think.
Guys, a lot of OBW guys are in that movie, right?
Yes, there's a lot.
Black Hawk's in that movie, right?
Yep, Black Hawk's
Are
in
y'all
that movie.
sure that
Maria's in that movie?
I think
Daniel Dallas is in that movie. Daniel Spencer's in that movie. There's a bunch of Zach's in that movie.
Crippy's in the movie.
Jared Crippy's in that movie. There's
are y'all sure that ZDP and Super Z are the same person?
I don't know.
Because looking at them,
I don't think they are.
I don't think they are either.
I've never seen them in the room at the same time together. So
and also,
I don't know.
If you notice, Super Z cleaned up the streets because he got rid of ZDP, who is a bad guy.
We're so proud of Icon being up there with you guys too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's one of those guys that understood that to be a good wrestler, you need to listen, you need to be willing to travel, and you need to respect what came before, because there are guys that don't do that.
Right. And then here's the thing. In this business, like cockiness and confidence, it's a pretty fine line.
Definitely.
There is a pretty fine line between the two. And you can rub people the wrong way when you're confident. And some people may see your confidence as being cocky. And they may not see everything you've put in to earn whatever confidence that you have. Yeah. All they see is you being cocky.
Yeah.
And in their mind, they're like, who's this kid? Who's this kid that thinks he can just come in here and say these things on the internet? And so he does catch heat for that.
He does.
Good for him.
Yes.
Exactly.
Good for him.
Because
that's what this business is about.
Exactly.
I know, right?
Heat sells tickets, baby. Heat sells tickets.
And also, I love the fact that he's went back to the hair they had back in 2019.
And I'm not going to lie. He's worked me a couple times. I've seen some stuff online. I'm like, what is this guy saying? What is he doing?
He wants to get eyes on himself.
And it's working.
I know him personally, and I've talked to him. He spent the night at
we actually had a conversation.
He's not that character. He is a great kid, but like you said, he when he gets into that role, sometimes he just stays there, and some people just misunderstand him. But I think he's going to be something at some point.
Well, think about the wrestling business, and you learn this kind of early on. If you're smart, you learn it early on. If you are outspoken and you're confident,
Yep.
what do you think someone who's not outspoken and confident feels?
Intimidated.
They're threatened.
Yes.
They're intimidated. And you got a wrestling show, and I have this conversation all the time with people because I've been in this business a long time. I know a lot of people. And hey, J-Mo, can you get me in at OVW? Can you get me in OVW? Here's the problem. We've got 10 spots. We've got 45 people on our roster for those 10 spots. So it's hard to bring other people in at just any given time.
Yep.
Like, it's hard to do. Like, any promotion out there can tell you, you know, I'm booked. Like, I'm
Come
booked,
over
guys.
there.
I'd love to have you, but I'm booked. It's the same way. And so
Yeah.
if you got someone that has potential that's coming up and you're one of those guys in those 10 spots, this guy's an idiot. What's he thinking? Of course they're
We
going
also
to.
have to
Yep.
learn to shout out the women of wrestling too, because Haley J is making.
Yes.
She's paving her way.
Oh my gosh,
My
I'm so proud of
stepchild
Haley.
Where's she
going
going?
up.
She's moved. Leaving.
She did. She's in Cali.
Where's she?
Nice.
So yeah, she's
Like,
gonna,
what's-
she's gonna
what's
be
the
working under
story?
Booker
Tell us-
T. She's gonna be working under Booker T.
Really?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Reality of
Absolutely.
wrestling.
Yeah.
Another girl that I think is gonna make she's gonna pave her path is Tegan Rose.
Yep.
Yes.
She's
Uh-huh.
supreme, but she's getting her name out there.
I'll tell you who's making a name for themselves, and not just because they're at OVW now, but it's just the truth, and that's Larkin.
Oh yes.
Oh,
she's a-
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've seen
Oh
her
my
before.
gosh.
She's a
You wanna
gangster.
talk about
Isn't she
crazy.
a genius? Isn't
You
she a
want to talk
genius?
about crazy?
No, but isn't she a genius?
It is. She is a genius.
Watch out, man.
1,000% genius.
Her
I've been
therapist
telling
will
people
do
that for a
something.
long time. I'm like, she is a genius.
And you want to talk about not being able to teach something? There's just some people that like you. She does
They
not
get it.
have to put on an act.
No.
That girl is just her.
Well,
She's
another
awesome.
one
she
that
is.
I've been watching. She's coming around a lot. Is it Dayami?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn
yeah.
me.
I love watching Dayami now. She's I love her. She's very.
We watched her at Danville EWA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Caught
biggest,
me by surprise.
biggest issue she has is the language barrier.
Yeah.
Because she
She's
doesn't
so
speak
sweet,
English,
though.
so
Yeah.
it's
And
hard.
Aria Alexander. Aria
Oh,
Alexander.
yes,
Ari,
Ari,
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
We saw her first when she was Ryan Ho's Von Rocket.
Y'all have
Ryan
Littlefoot still over there?
No.
Is she still with you guys? No, she's not with you
But
guys.
she's
no more?
also making
Yeah.
a name for herself.
Yes,
Oh,
she
she's
is.
definitely. She's
Women's wrestling in general is making it, especially in our area.
Well,
There's
had
a
her-
lot
we
of
had her.
Exactly.
We had her early on the podcast because she had
Back in
had
2022.
she had 3 matches, and I was like, "You got to come to the podcast because I can't get her on here now.
Right.
She's just she's just too
She
popular."
blew up.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
and he was talking about like the first training class of Grindhouse. Billy Starks was in that training.
Oh
class,
yes,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
And now
helped
look at her.
pave her. She did a lot of work herself. Like she has just pushed the ceiling all the way up for herself, and she is getting everything she deserves. I love that kid with my entire heart.
Yeah.
I know her wrestling, and I know her personally. I watched her take her first bump. I've watched her grow into the woman she is now, and I'm super proud of her. But he watched her take her first bump. Just kind of,
She gave me a black eye once.
she did.
Oh, man.
She did.
Lucky for you,
Right.
Hey,
A lot
it's a
of
badge
men,
of honor.
a lot of men would probably pay her a lot of money for that.
right.
But yeah,
It was over
there has
free.
been
Yeah,
there has
right.
been some podcasters that try and downplay women's wrestling. Oh, it's just a piss play. It's just something for.
No,
I'm
not
like,
true.
no, this ain't
Not true.
1997 to
Yeah.
2015. This is the epitome of professional wrestling because these women show out more than what the men do.
They-
Exactly.
do,
And I
yes.
tell you, like, as I said, earlier in the podcast, I'm old school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
I've
right.
watched this business go from women being pictures and women
Yep.
being, put on television
Yep.
to take their shirts off and have
Exactly.
wet T-shirt
When
contests,
when I
basically.
first started this podcast, I couldn't watch WWE for the men's wrestling. What kept me being a WWE fan was the women. They stole the freaking show when you had those pay-per-views.
And you could thank women like Lita
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Mickey James
Yes.
and
Yep.
Trish Stratus for actually being women's wrestling and actually making women's wrestling mean something.
yeah.
And today's generation is just running with it. As she said, we've got
Yeah.
so many young
So
women that are
many,
coming
yeah.
up that actually can wrestle.
So how long has
That's
Miss
right.
Larkin been over there at OVW?
just here recently, she's
I
she's
seen a promo
literally
over there the
last
other
month
night.
and a half. She's been in OVW.
Yeah, I seen a promo over her the other day, and I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize she was over there." But that's she's been
pouring that
working
ketchup
out.
on her leg.
She's been working out and getting stronger, and I've seen her at the gym.
Hard work. And I can tell you, Ronnie Roberts has done a great job with the
Yeah, yeah,
Grindhouse
he
kids.
has.
You know,
Yeah.
this second generation of Grindhouse that they have going out with like Ethan and like even Dallas
Dallas.
and Larkin and all these guys. There's so many of those kids that are actually coming out now and actually being able to get a name out there for themselves.
Dallas can actually wrestle.
He can. He
Yeah,
can.
but like,
He's a scum dog.
when do
with
we ever
Ethan
get
Hire.
when do we ever get to
He's
see him
just
wrestle?
I
such
can
a
tell you
good
what though.
ref,
I can
though.
tell you
Yep.
now.
Such
If
a
I
good
could
wrestler.
go back 20
My
years
Dallas,
ago,
I would fight you for
if
my
I could
Dallas.
go back 20 years ago, I would have been a ref in a heartbeat.
Hell
If I'd have known then what I know now, I would have been a rep in a heartbeat. To be able to go and to actually make a career out of this and make $250,000 a year and be able to save my back and not have to wake up
Yep.
every morning like I can't even feel my feet. Come on now, I'd have done it in a
A
heartbeat. if I
referee
could
is
go
an
back and do it
unsung
again.
Speaking of
hero.
good
But the thing
refs,
is,
we have to give
the
a
flyer
shout out to
doesn't
Sean
say
P.
professional referee in it.
That's
It says
right.
professional wrestling,
Yeah.
and everybody wants
That's
to be
right.
a wrestler. So
The wrestler has to be the main focus, though, because
But I can tell you
because
that.
think about it.
But I can tell you, a good ref can save a bad match.
Damn
And
straight.
a
Exactly.
bad ref can kill a match. I don't care how good you
Exactly.
are. So the refs are more important than the fans even
Yes.
realize.
And they don't even realize it because
No.
they're busy watching wrestling, but they don't stop and realize if you watch the referee's the one that has to make sure that the match is going how it should be.
Yeah, tough
And if
job.
it goes off the rails, they got
The
to go.
refs got a harder job than we ever do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All we got to do is worry about ourselves. The refs
Yeah.
got to worry about everything.
Exactly. Because the referees also got to deal with the guys that talks us back. They also got to deal.
Got to deal with me.
Yep, and they also got to watch the fans. They got to if the fans ain't buying it, they're like, well, got to tell them to change it up, or we're going to kill the crowd.
Yeah,
They
that's
got to
what
do a lot of things.
A good ref can save a bad match.
Damn
absolutely.
straight.
Speaking
one
of
of the
good
best.
refs, we have to give a shout out to Sean P. He's
Oh, yeah.
no
Yes.
longer
Sean
with
P. Oh,
us,
yes,
but
Rest in
he
peace,
was
Sean
one
P.
of the
We're in
best
here,
damn
baby.
refs there
Absolutely.
was in
SPO.
business.
SPO for life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, so like I could tell you just getting the experience firsthand, one of the best at it was Chris Sharp. Of course, he's at WWE now. I think
Yep.
his name's what's his name, Chip, I think at WWE. But Chris Sharp was absolutely one of the best ever. And like literally, you'd be sitting there in the match and you'd be losing the crowd. All right, guys, gotta get up, gotta get them back. Literally one of the best at it. Literally,
Hell yeah.
he saved plenty of my matches.
I
Trust
mean,
me.
Hey,
sometimes
guys.
they get on my nerves because all I see is ref ass during the match, But
Yeah, a
sometimes
ref
they get,
ass.
Sometimes they get my
Oh,
way.
I know.
but
Sometimes when I'm videoing, I'm
sometimes
like,
I just want to be like,
move
Dallas.
out of the way, ref. I can't.
What would
listen
I
to this.
tell y'all if y'all found out that we've been on here 2 hours?
Hey, wow.
Time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, everybody feels that way.
We come to the time of the show where it's time for our goodbyes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Who wants
so-
to go first?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll go first. Okay. So thank you guys for coming, guys out there and that's watching us. Please go on our Facebook page and like, share, comment on the comments, guys. We need y'all to interact on the Facebook page and blow it up, and go over to YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube page too. We got over 2,000 subscribers over there. We got over 30,000 followers on Facebook. You guys got to interact with us because that's just the name of the business. So,
Yep.
anything else you want to?
Yeah.
Go?
Go ahead.
Say anything you want to say. Tell anything. Put over your photography stuff or whatever.
So I just want to thank you guys for giving me a voice. A lot of times I'm in the shadows, just doing the merch and doing the concessions and supporting the kids and my husband, and it's just a role I play. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't know what to do without the chaos. So, but you can catch me at EWA. You can catch me at 4PW and Supreme. Sometimes on the OVW shows. You can catch my husband on the OVW shows every Thursday. And then, my photography website is goldenaegesphotos.com. Facebook is Golden Ages Photos LLC. My shoot Facebook is Tresia Leighann Allen. I also have Allen's One Touch Sports, which is directed towards mostly wrestling.
Yep.
But I do, if you can think of what to photograph, I can do it. I love doing anything. So wrestling and photography, that's my life. But yeah.
So before I sign off the way I always sign off, I wanted to say a couple things. First off, thank you guys for having us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming in. I think your story is one of the best stories
Yes,
that's
it
been
is.
said on this podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for having my wife on here. Obviously, she contacted you guys, and it is true. The unsung heroes of this business do go unnoticed, and it takes a supporting cast to be able to do what we do.
Sure does.
A lot of sacrifices goes into that. A lot of missed birthdays, a lot of missed holidays. There's a lot of my attention that she doesn't get, and she's willing to sacrifice that because she knows how important it is to me. So thank you for giving her a voice and allowing me to come on here with her. And also, I just want to say, because I sign that off this way every time for anybody out there, just remember always, tomorrow needs you. J-Mo loves you. Make today better than yesterday. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
You're welcome, brother. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been watching tonight. Everyone that's commented. By Blade, we do pay attention, brother. Chris Blade, we notice you too. Hey, man, Chris Blade, he's a good referee. And I want to thank you for allowing us a moment of y'all's time.
Of course.
Because this was all about y'all. A 2-hour commercial to put over not just you, but the OVW, what you do, what you love doing, and what you're passionate about. Because the podcast God always says, do what you love best. Don't forsake what you love the most. And you, my man, came back from something that could have made anyone else break. But you held fast. Because you had someone inside your corner as a ride to die. And that's something that most people wish that they could have. Never forsake what you have because you are a new man.
Absolutely.
Yes, agreed.
Yes.
And guys, if you're not having fun,
You're not getting
you damn
let's
skippy.
go.